Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Your membership to Gold, you will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nusquash Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Ken. Kenny Ken wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Red Small make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Ken, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97. Home. That is where comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado Custodian, Billy Friedrich, Joe's one all coming down to the finish.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
From the corporate Peter Low Shack, legendary sports handicapper, more dapper than a dawn. Father young phenom, known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA, we all PSR Pub Sports Radio is all. There's a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this but they quit the trip. Though we say we be pubbing, betting with the bag and you love it. We want a top 10, we above it. Let's check.
Cappers, gamblers, punters, hustlers, low baggers. Happy Wednesday, January 22nd to all of you. Thank you for watching Betting with the Bag right here on Pub Sports Radio. We'll be here every Wednesday for the next, 9 months, 10 months. Nice to be back on Wednesdays. Next week, I go Tuesday through Friday. I'm very excited and thankful to be back in business. We've got Cappers in chat rolling. Justin McKelvey stacks play today in California plus 1.5, Nevada plus 6.5. Let's get that locked in here. Kong's Clips. College basketball play today. Houston first half minus 11.5, 4-0. Kong's Clips moving to the hardwood from the gridiron. Our guy Kong in the house. Let's make sure all this is copied and pasted. We have a lot of work to do. I'm very excited about the show. Very excited about the show. Gogster will be back in business. It's been a long time since we capped the NHL card together. I know the Wednesdays cards aren't as fruitful as other days, but we will be getting to work on it. I am rocking his Belleville Senators hat, a gift from Gogster. Pubapalooza. That must be Pubapalooza 2, I believe. Morgan Spooner in the house is college basketball action. Very, very helpful information. Thank you, Morgan. Now, we are capping the big games. I'm going to figure out how to do things best with college basketball. Our focus is going to become college basketball here on the show. Right now, we're going to be going with CMAC first, and then Daby Cab. Soon, Wine Time will be the third here. They're going to go individually so that we can cover more games. CMAC will be going first. And now CMAC, it's a little different. Now, he may at times add games to the card. But right now, it's me just sending him the games that I want to talk about. Again, we're going to figure out how to do this perfectly as we move forward. To give you an idea of the games that CMAC is hammering is Utah, Houston, Florida, South Carolina, Xavier, St. John's, Indiana, Northwestern, Boise, Colorado State, Kansas State, Baylor, Florida State, Cal, Nevada, Utah State, Georgia, Arkansas, Miami, Stanford. Daby Cab's going to come in with his 3 best bets. They're involved with Kansas, TCU, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, USC, Nebraska. So at this point, we have 13 college games that we're going to break down. Again, that will change as we move forward. My guy Maiden Philly in the house, the Sweaty Butcher ready to get to work in Cali. 8:05 a.m. for the Sweaty Butcher ready to get to work. Jermaine Slatsy on the Kings minus 117. And Kong's Clip saying, I'm telling you right now, watch out for my Louisville Cardinal. They're on a heater. This team is different than what we've been used to the last couple of years. A couple things here. Kong's Clip saying 19 years ago today, Kobe dropped 81 points on the Toronto Raptors. Rip, Black Mamba. I watched every single second of that basketball game. And Kobe needed to score 81. Raptors, I think God must have been ahead at halftime. It wasn't a game where he was just padding stats. Kobe had to do that for the Lakers to win that basketball game. And I watched every second of it, and it was a pretty magical situation. I was living on DuPont Street in Toronto. DuPont Street. I remember sitting on the couch, smoking reefer, listening to Eminem, watching that basketball game, every second of it, and listening to the audio, of course, for the second half. Jermaine, Nate Dogg 420 in the house, ready to get to work. Serious business. Kelly McInnes. It's great to see all of you guys. I'm so happy and excited to be back in business because my action is dipped. It was easier during the last couple months because, I'd have 15 to 20 NFL bets. I'd kind of be focusing my energy on NFL, but I've not had enough action lately. I would like more action, having these shows and opportunities with you on Wednesday. And then next week with Low Shack in the Bag, I will have the action that I need for life enjoyment. Thank you guys for joining us. It's great to see all of you guys. A huge card ahead of us. Con Clip telling you right now about the Louisville Cardinal. That takes me right back to sitting at Churchill Downs, November 17th. Driving down from Manitoba, getting there in this warm, it's like 17 Celsius, I know what that is, like 65 Fahrenheit, sitting in the sun, drinking a beer and looking at the Louisville Cardinal at the football stadium and thinking, this must be as good as life gets. Sitting here in the sun right now. It was a Wednesday. It was empty at Churchill. Big Scott in the house. It's great to see all of you guys. Kelly McInnes says, shout out to Jose holding down the fort until NFL calmed down. Yes, Jose did a spectacular job. And he's going to be all over this. Now, remember, on Friday, we didn't have a horse race. We said we were going to do a $100 race on Thursday, but I think we should switch that up and have a $50 race each day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here of this week. So $50 horse race to close this show off. Great to see all of you guys. I'm ready to get to work. MLK Day was awful. I made a point of being live on because the card was so beautiful. The hot card was so beautiful. I made a point of being live with the Medicate Monday crew, and then I was terrible, and it ate at me. It ate at me, and it ate at me. I got a lot back yesterday. Rangers. I went for the Rangers -1. I look. I want big scores. So I went for the Rangers -1. That was just a gift 5-0. Look, the Capitals got me in the drink hole again. My battle with the Capitals will continue. Oilers -1 was a loser. Sabres +153. Fading the Canucks was glorious. Glorious. And Sharks first period plus a half. Sharks team total over 2. I cashed those bets in 12 minutes. Look out for the Sharks, especially when Georgiev is not in net, because it's not just Macklin Celebrini who's becoming one of my favorite players, but it's Will Smith. What a monster young Will Smith is. Kong says, yes, Kong, you got screwed over in the worst way. Astonishing. Now, I was afraid of it. Remember, I mentioned it because Will Howard had been almost perfect in the first half. I was like, but it sucks. You deserve better. You still had a monster season, but you deserve better. Crystal Craig in the house. Fat Wally. Wine Time. Great to see all of you guys. Wine Time was live at the Lakers game. Incredible seats. Let's get to work, fellas, and bring on a capper who I've capped with for 8 years now. Had the honor of capping with him for 8 years. A phenomenal NHL capper, and he's having a really good season. Now, I only have I have my records. I have C-Mac's record. I'm behind on our next guest's NHL record, but I'll have everything back in business as we get rolling into next week. Please welcome from the Dirty Bell Vegas, our friend Mr. Gogster to the show. Gogster, how are you, my man?
Doing good, Jimmy. Good to see you, buddy. Nice hat.
Thank you, my friend. It was a gift that I took very seriously. I take very good care of it, and I like it very much. Let's get right to work. We have a 4-game card here, and then we have a Conor Mac joining us for college basketball. We have the surf and turf here, the Hawks and the Timberwolves here for surf and turf, and the prime cut. So let me just make sure this is copied and pasted here. I did spend a lot of time on the NBA card. We're really rolling in NBA, but my sample or the sample size of bets has gone down. But this is real deal. 39 and 28, 58.2% plus 8.21 units ROI plus 12.25%. So it's all moving in the right direction, and I know why it is. I've just spent every single year trying to figure out how can I be better at NBA? How can I be better? What am I doing wrong? What's not working? And right now, as you guys know, I've cut player props out, and I've almost fully cut totals out. It's just sides for me right now because that's historically where I make the most money. And if our only goal is to grow our unit size, if that's the only goal we have in life, then quantity isn't quite as important as quality. And it's hard for me to say that because I'm a volume capper. Let's get to work, my friend Gogster, because there is only one spot on this board that is a smash and grab in my estimation, and it is this. Now, one of the things that I benefit off of having a capper like Gogster come on, is that I don't need to hammer the board. I'm not here solo. I know Gogster can attack other games. I just want to win, and I want to win so goddamn badly. And this is a smash and grab, in my estimation, the New Jersey Devils. And it was expensive. And you might ask yourself, how could the Devils be so expensive having lost 4 straight games? Look, that's a valid question that I may be able to answer to some extent. I am on the Devils -1. I got the money line at -200. I got the puck line at +140, I believe. It was a -125 with the -1 calculator. That's exactly what it is. I could have got it for -123 offshore and made that, a liquid bet. Instead, I sent it in 2 cents. I especially after the rough 48 hours I took, I would prefer to send it in. Nasty Nate says Bruins smash. And it's just the angles here are now these angles did not work for me on Monday, but historically they've cashed for me over and over and over again. Slatsy says Bruins 8-1 last 9 versus the Devils. Again, you pick, you can always find the angles and the stats that can back your action if you dig deep enough. So let's get into this right now. Gogster, my man. Let's get into the line history here. I don't care about the money, so we'll just go into the line history, and I'll set this one up for Mr. Gogster. This is the only game I've bet, and I'm comfortable if this is the only game I bet. This was expensive at the get. It's expensive at the jump. This was minus 187. It's now minus 219. Oof, 32 cents of movement towards these New Jersey Devils. And I was a little concerned about how expensive it was last night. And I thought, don't get angry if you wake up and it's a minus 180. I'm not, don't need to be angry. I also looked at the team total over for the Devils, who've been horrific offensively. It was too expensive. The 3.5 was at even money. Mm-hmm. It was too expensive, I felt. This total at 5.5 opened up plus 101 to the under. It's now minus 103 to the under. We've had 4 cents of movement towards the under. Jeremy Swayman and Jacob Markstrom listed. Swayman, 2.94 goals against average, 897 save percentage, 2 shutouts. He's not been very good lately, but he's playing better. Jacob Markstrom, 21-9-5, 2.20 goals against average, 912 save percentage, 3 shutouts. Boston power play, meek, 13.8%. And I watched them play. The key here for me, we've had Hampus Lindholm out for 29 games. Yeah. Actually, he's missed now 31 games. I thought it was 29, but 31 here. He's skating, but non-contact jersey. McAvoy is on the injured reserve. He's missed the last 2 games with an undisclosed injury. McAvoy plays 23 minutes and 41 seconds a game. Second on the team is Zadorov at 20:01. They've allowed 8 goals in the 2 games that he's missed. Boston comes in off their third win in 4 games, 6-3 at home versus San Jose on Monday afternoon. So I was on San Jose first period at plus 167. I was on San Jose full game at plus 210. I pushed the first period. I lost the full game. It was 3-2 San Jose. Now, Boston had probably more chances. San Jose maybe had more dangerous chances. It was 3-2 San Jose, and somehow they left Coyle open for a one-timer in front of the slot. It was an egregious mistake defensively. Then, a few minutes later, Coyle won the game, scored the game winner with a fluke goal. Askarov was moving he didn't hug the post. It banked in from behind the net. It banked in on him into the net. It was a trash goal. Then they scored 2 empty netters. Don't let that 6-3 score fool you. This Boston hockey team that's in a playoff spot right now will get swept in the first round if they get to the playoffs. This is not a good hockey team. This is a hockey team that you want to fade. There's a vividness bias behind the black and yellow Boston Bruins, and it should be faded. Devils coming off their 4 straight loss, 2-1 at home versus Ottawa on Sunday afternoon. I was on the Devils. Now, thankfully, the Habs took care of business later that evening. I was on the Devils. They had just played a 1 p.m. game. They were playing another one. The Senators then were in a tougher spot scheduling-wise, and I was like, God, the Devils are going to run all over them. So the Devils lost 2-1. The Devils outshot the Senators 17-2 in the first period. And they didn't come away with a lead. And we watch this so often in hockey and in other sports. When you've got every single chance in the world, you can't get it home. The team going into the intermission that is being outshot by 15 is going to think, wow, we got through this. We're very fortunate. Now let's go attack them. And that's exactly what ended up happening. It was their 3rd game in 4 days. That was on Sunday afternoon. So Boston played on Monday afternoon. The Devils finally got a bit of a break. New Jersey's only scored 20 goals in 11 games, their last 11 games. That's 1.82 per game. Look, that's horrific. And they've allowed 2.82 during that stretch. They've only won twice in regulation during that stretch. But don't forget, this was a team that scored 3.37 goals per game in their first 38. This is perfectly set up for the Devils to win this by margin. And that is exactly what I think they're going to do here. Gogster, take it away, Bruins, Devils.
I'm going to take the Bruins puck line. No, I'm just kidding. I'm on the complete same angle as you here, Jim. I think Devils just got Boston at a good time here. They also got a back-to-back tomorrow with Bruins against Ottawa. So I don't know if it is going to be Swayman or Corpy there. I could see Corpy going tomorrow because former team and whatnot. But power play 2, penalty kills, advantage of the Devils last 30 days. I couldn't buy a win there, the Devils, but I think this is a good spot for him. Like you said, no McAvoy. I expect the Devils to take care of business. I'm similar play to you, Jim. I'm on the regulation -140. Don't see any reason why not. Even a Bruins team total under, I was going to take that under 2.5, but it was around the same number. I don't see the Bruins scoring a lot here either. Devils are also 9-1 to the under last 10 games. So I expect this to be a lower scoring game. Devils get the win in reg -140.
Yeah, and it's also for me, when I think there's the best single spot on the board, and nobody in the chat, not one person agrees with me.
Really?
It generally is a very profitable spot for me.
Yeah, this didn't take long for me. This play.
This is just this. Now there's a hockey game that needs to take place, but this to me is perfect.
Long term, this is a winning bet, I think.
But it's perfect. I mean, did everybody else watch every second of Bruins Sharks? I mean, is everybody else watching this Bruins team? Was Zadorov having to play 25 minutes? And Carlo and Zadorov is their first two-line defenseman, and you have the angriest group of Devils that you could possibly imagine. I mean, this is wonderful. We have Gogster with Devils in regulation, and we have myself on the -1 line. That -1 line cost -125, as I said earlier. And again, with Gogster, we haven't been rocking for a while, but it's part of the fun not agreeing with each other. So don't ever worry.
No, it's just funny because like the first game, you were laying it down, everything you were saying. I was like, yup. So we'll probably have some disagreements. Maybe there's one game here I might be on the other side.
And then, God, man, Res Mob in the house, Irish King, Ron Crawford, Viper NB, DC Capper. Great to see all of you guys. This to me is as good as it gets. So, and it's so good that I'm very hesitant to make another bet in NHL. I need to get to the black. You see the record there. Very, very disappointing. I just think this is as good as it gets. So if you are hearing how confident we are on the spot, you can then use Devil's money line as a parlay piece for anything that you find interesting. Let's roll on. 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Columbus Blue Jackets 22-18 and 7, 6-13 and 4 on the road at the Toronto Maple Leafs 30-16 and 2, 19-9 and 0 at home. Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario. Again, it's so easy in retrospect to look at what other cappers are doing and kind of say, well, this was wrong, but because you're looking at it, clear because you just watched the games take place. I told you guys on Monday, every single capper I saw was on the Columbus Blue Jackets. And I'm such a, I don't know if it's the Undoing Project or my pops hammering this home to me nonstop, but regression to the mean, progression to the mean. The Columbus Blue Jackets lose Monahan and go on this crazy winning streak. Now they're playing tighter defensively. Look, everything that Everson's doing, I like. They're doing a great job in Columbus. But the Islanders was a smash and grab spot. And I don't know exactly what to do with the Toronto Maple Leafs because we've seen from both the Blue Jackets and the Maple Leafs them lose in a very, very important center. Johnny Tavares for the Leafs and Sean Monahan for the Blue Jackets and continue to deliver. Now, we talked about the Leafs in that first game. And I've had a problem with the Leafs. I haven't capped them very well this year. Leafs, Capitals, there's a couple teams that have really got me. And I backed them in that first game without Monahan. They looked excellent. Now they've won 3 straight, without Tavares. And now they've won 3 straight without Tavares. And I don't know exactly what to do, but I do want to fade the Jackets. But is this the kind of hockey team I want? I don't know. Last night I deemed it too expensive. Slatty says the winning team between Jackets and Leafs scored 4 more goals in 9 of the last 10 meetings. There's Ronnie Lofton in the house, the teacup cap ready to get to work. Nate Dogg on Nylander and Matthews to score. I've been watching Nylander pretty closely lately, Gogster, and the only person I really can compare him to, in all honesty, with the way he's been sniping, is he's the most dangerous forward I've seen since Pavel Bure.
Good guy. I like that comparison. Yeah.
I didn't say until Monday. I was just like, when he on some of these breakaways and stuff, he just looks like a sniper and just a dangerous man. Let's get into this line history. The -1 was too expensive. I was going to have to take this on the puck line. The Leafs are playing over their head without Tavares in the line. Do I really want them on the puck line? And my answer was no. This total opened up at 6 -118 to the over. We now have a 6.5 -119 to the under. If you want the under, you can take the 6.5 heavily juiced. If you want the over, you can take the 6 heavily juiced. It's up to you. And then on the money line here, we have the Leafs down to -196. Well, that's fascinating. That's such a big move that just happened 40 minutes ago. That must be Wool not in net.
Yeah.
It's right. Is that what happened?
Hildeby's going, yep.
Because it's too big of a move. This opened up at -221. This was -228 at 9:44 this morning. And now at 10:45 a.m., 45 minutes ago, this moved not just a little bit, it moved 32 cents. So now are the Jackets more appealing? And Slatsy saying Hildeby confirmed for the Leafs. We'll let Gogster talk about Hildeby with his numbers because I don't have them in front of me. Columbus power play 23.1%, penalty killing 74.2%. Toronto power play 22.2%, penalty killing 81%. The Jackets coming up their second straight loss 3-1 at the Islanders on Monday. And this is the first of a back-to-back for the Jackets. They play at Carolina tomorrow. Monahan and Chinnikov remain out of the lineup. The Leafs coming off their third straight win 5-3 at home over the Lightning on Monday. This is a real cushy spot for the Leafs. So while the Blue Jackets have to get on the airplane right after this game, the Leafs don't play again until Saturday. We're going to see that in NBA too when we break down that card. Take it away for us, Gogster. Blue Jackets, Leafs.
Yeah, that's a wild line movement there, just with that goalie change. Yeah, that's insane. I think they're coming off those 2 losses. Third game of the 4-game road trip. They didn't look good in those 2 games, Jim. Tough spot, I think, is going to be tomorrow when they got to play at Carolina. Mers Lincoln's expecting him to go here. I think I already played this, guys. I'm taking first period, both teams to score, plus 155. I think Toronto can score on this team. Mers Lincoln's weaker goalie on the road, but I expect Columbus here in the first period. They're going to jump on Toronto. I'm almost thinking maybe I should have just taken Columbus plus, to score in the first, or Columbus plus 185 on the first on the money line first period. But I took the first period, both teams to score. I expect Columbus though, Jim. I think they're going to come out strong in this first off those 2 losses. Before that, 1-9-11. I still think they got something in them. That, like you said, Chinnikov and Monahan out, but yeah, I think the spot, and then the Leafs definitely playing, good hockey right now. Team in Columbus, not that they're going to overlook them, but I think Columbus is going to come out strong here. And also, they've won 3 of the past 5 against Toronto. Columbus has, so they definitely get up against this Leaf team. I think this is a spot. I wouldn't be surprised if Columbus even wins this game straight up, but I'm taking first period, both teams to score, plus 155. And then the over 6 minus 120, I got it at. And that number's moving too now. That over 6, just because of Hill to be going. He's 2-1 right now this month. 2-1 at home, 896, 2.63 goals against, 1-1 in the month of January. Who's he played? He's played Vancouver, where he lost 3-0. Win against Philadelphia. Win against Buffalo, allowed 3. This guy's allowing at least 3 goals for the most part in his games. And look at this too, Jim. Played October 22nd against Columbus. What happened? The guy let 6 in against Toronto when they were at home. They lost 6-2. So this could be a sneaky spot for Columbus, I think. But I've already played first period, both teams to score, and then the over 6.
I like your action. Again, I'm in this spot where I love the Devils so much that it's really hard for me to add anything to a small card, but thank God we have Gogster here. Let's move on. 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Winnipeg Jets 31-14-3, 13-9-0 on the road. The Colorado Avalanche 28-19-1, 14-10-1 at home. We're at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. Shout out to all the cappers rocking with us. Well, I haven't given shouts out yet to Razor Sharp Picks, Markel, Mike Wilkerson, Ick Schnizzle, Sir Mackey Loves Pie, the Pipe Layer. Thank you for the extremely kind words, my man. Barry Roselle. Great to see all of you guys here. Let's move on to this game, which is extremely difficult. I mean, these are 2 really good hockey teams coming off of losses. And it's coin flippy. Let's get into the line history here with Jets Avalanche. The Jets right now at plus 103. The market telling us that they're extremely live here. They opened up at plus 120. A huge move towards the Winnipeg Jets here. Unlike the Hildeby move, this moved at 9:04 a.m. I mean, I didn't think this was goaltender related, as blatant as the Toronto Columbus one was, but we'll let Gogster tell us about that. This total, though, has dropped from 6.5 to 5.5. So it can't be backup goaltender related. Have we seen that all year long?
At 6, I don't know, 6.5 is quite. Like two goalies that are playing unbelievable. I think 6.5 is a little much, even though, I think it's a little much setting it at 6.5.
But have you seen a full goal drop from 6.5 to 5.5? Because I haven't seen it all year.
No, yeah, that's a lot.
It's a playoff type atmosphere you're going to have tonight at Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado, where Colorado hasn't been very good, just 14-10-1 at home. Mackenzie Blackwood and Connor Hellebuck, you heard from Gogster, playing very, very well. Hellebuck 28-7-2, 2.02 goals against average, 927 save percentage. Slats saying Big Val has a setback for the Avs now week to week. You've heard Jay Peasy talking about how important Nishushkin Big Val is to this power play. Mackenzie Blackwood 15-13-4, 2.56 goals against average, 917 save percentage, 1 shutout. I was, like others, astonished that Sakic would give him the big contract after 3 games. He has followed through with it. He's playing well. Winnipeg power play 32.1%, phenomenal. 79.4% penalty killing. Colorado power play just 20.7%. Like the Oilers, a power play that's not hitting the way we expect it to, and one that you can expect to improve as the season goes on. And the same exact penalty killing numbers as the Jets. The Jets coming off their second straight loss, 5-2 at Utah Monday. So they play Utah again at home on Friday. So the best case scenario for me, and then so I'd like to say for us, is that the Avalanche beat the Jets badly here. And then the Jets are an angry group and smash and grab Utah on Friday night at home. Now we'll have to see. Colorado's not playing very good hockey. They come in off their second loss in 3 games and third in 5 games, 3-1 at home to Minnesota on Monday. That was a Minnesota team missing Spurgeon and Jonas Brodin. They did have Brock Faber back, who played phenomenal. But there was no excuses for how poorly the Avalanche played. Take it away for us, Gogster. Jets, Colorado.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I originally had first period. I was going to take first period under 1.5, 1.5. More I'm thinking about it, though, coming off those 2 losses, Utah, and then versus Calgary, Winnipeg, I think they're just better than that, Jim. First period, guys, this is similar to the Blue Jackets one. Colorado will have, I'm going to try this again. Winnipeg have shut out Colorado 2 of the last 3 matches. So Colorado definitely struggles to score against this team. You got Hellebuck coming off 2 losses. I just wrote down also Colorado team total under 2.5. I might add that one, Jimmy. I feel like that's got a good shot tonight. But first period, Winnipeg, guys, I think they got a good shot to jump all over this team. Power play, too, you're talking about, Jim. I have last 30 days, 34% for the Jets, only 10% for the Avalanche. So everything's kind of telling me the Jets, the underdogs also move towards, being the favorite a little bit, too. Goldies quickly, though, 924, 928 save percentage, home road splits between the 2 of them. Really good goaltending. More I'm thinking about it, I might fire off Colorado team total under here, Jim. But I think Winnipeg in the first have a good shot to jump on Colorado here. So as of now, just Winnipeg first period, but I might tweet out Colorado team total under 2.5.
What did you get on the Jets first period?
Oh, sorry, plus 110.
Plus 110 for Mr. Gogster. The Avalanche need to find somebody. They need to trade for somebody to stand in front of the net, because Nishushkin is just not quite as accountable as one would hope.
You know what? I'm going to add it, Jim. Plus 125 it is. Colorado team total under 2.5. I think that's a friendly number there. I'll take that as well. Plus
under 2.5 at plus 125?
Yeah.
And Jets first period up plus 110. Robert McCormick in the house. Aubrey Travis. We have Troy Torrance. We're getting into college basketball here in just a few short minutes. One more game left in NHL. 10 p.m. Eastern. Florida Panthers 27-17-3, 14-8-1 on the road at the LA Kings, 25-14-5, 14-3-1 at home. We're at Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles, California. Spencer Knight, Darcy Kemper between the pipes. Darcy Kemper playing very, very well. 922 save percentage. Looks like I will have to pay Ricky Levine $100 American, but he has to reach 40 games. I don't mean to cheer for injuries. He needs to have a save percentage, I believe, over 904, or was it 903? I can't remember. I'll ask Ricky what the bet is. Florida power play 23.9%, penalty killing 78.4%. LA Kings power play 16.5%, penalty killing 82.6%. Nate Dogg on Reinhardt, Sammy Reinhardt to score. And Razor Sharp Picks is sharing his entire Gulfstream Park card. Thank you, Razor. That means a ton to us. Let me copy and paste that. His entire Gulfstream Park card. And we better hammer Gulfstream as much as possible, because if the Stronarks have their way, there'll be condos up there in a minute. And I'll find a ski mask and I'll wait for Mr. Stronark. And I'm going to fuck his knee up. Let's get back to work here, though. Spencer Knight Kemper, Florida power play 23.9%, penalty killing 78.4%, Kings power play 16.5%, and penalty killing 82.6%. So Robert Franklin, North Ender on the Kings money line, a bet that I get and understand. Slatsy Kings 6-1 last 7 versus Panthers 4-0 last 4 in LA. Panthers on back-to-back Kings money line. Look, I can completely understand it. I just don't know what to do with how bad they looked. And this is a mistake, right? It's a mistake. You talk about if you were a capper that doesn't watch the games, you'd be sitting here thinking the Kings are in a perfect situation to bounce back here. I have a fear of fading 2 teams, and really 3 teams, in all honesty. 3 teams that I have a fear. I have to get through it, and I have to get past it, because it does work when I do fade them. But the 3 teams are the Dallas Stars, the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Hurricanes and the Florida Panthers. I'm concerned. Now, they're playing without Aaron Ekblad, so they're much worse without that big defenseman, chewing up 25 minutes a game. And they're on the second half of a back-to-back. Now, it's not travel. It was 5-2 last night in Anaheim. The Kings come home from a 2-3-1 Northern road trip with a resounding dud, 5-1 at home on Pittsburgh on Monday in the first game since the Fires. And so this is the issue for me. With this spot here, the Kings go off after this game on another 6-game road trip. The scheduling has screwed them over so badly. Now, what's going to happen in the stretch run? The Kings are going to have a ton of home games, and that you're going to want to back them a lot. But now they know that after this game, they got to go out on the road again. Are their heads where you want them to be with the Fires, everything going on? If they were playing again at home on Friday night, I'd be with you on the Kings. And I think you guys are probably right. But the fact that they got to go back on the road for 6 more games after a 6-game road trip, it's not fair. And it's got to be with their heads. They're leaving in the morning again. Take it away, Gogster, final spot on the board, Panthers, Kings.
Yeah, back-to-back, like you said, for Florida. Both special teams, power plays, 16, 21%, not doing a whole lot. I originally had LA written down too, but I took her off. Knights, he's 5-3-1, 881 save percentage on the road, but Jim, this month he's 3-0 with a .969 save percentage and a .85 goals against. I think he's had 2 shutouts or something, at least 1. But Spencer Knight's playing really well. So the team, they know they got a great hot goalie. He's actually playing better, I'd say, right? He is playing better right now than Bobrovsky. Last night, the only thing is you're not going to have Ekblad in front of him. But I'm just looking here this month. Some guys have stepped up here. Ivis I can't pronounce his name, guys, but Uvis is his name there. Balinskis sounds like a Latvian guy, but he's +3, Jim, on defense here in 10 games, kind of stepping up. I expect it to be a lower scoring game. And then Kemper on the other side, stellar, playing really well. 925 save percentage at home, 1.98 goals against. Also, his save percentage in the month of January, guys, 956. So both these goalies have some of the best top 2 goalies, top 10, both these goalies in the month of January. That's for sure. Small sample size, though, for Knight. I'm thinking it's going to be a lower scoring game. Going with the old Gogster special, Jim. No goal in the first 9 minutes, 30 seconds. +115. I wouldn't talk anyone off the first period under 1.5. Even a full game under 1.5. LA, with the Fires and whatnot, they've, it's been tough for them to focus on hockey of late. I'm gonna go with the no goal first 9 minutes, 30 seconds. Don't know who's gonna win this side. I think it's a coin flip. That's kind of where the line is. But the under feels like the play here.
No goal first 10:30. What was the juice on that?
First 9 minutes, 30
Sorry,
seconds.
my bad.
At,
First 9:30. What was the juice?
Plus 115.
Plus 115. I think those of you on the Kings, I think you are very likely on the right side. I think they step up here. I just am so confident with the Devils that and even if I cash the Devils, I'm going to have a ton of basketball action today. I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm up. I'm going to bet the Kings. So this is a no move for me. And I'll be smashing the card tomorrow. I just a funny card here, but we got Gogster hammering away. Let's review action here from Mr. Gogster and myself. CL Cash Preds -1.5 yesterday. That was a wild game. It's funny. Who would have thought I would cash the team total over two? It was a 2 in 12 minutes. Cash the first period. I wish I took a money line to him, plus I had a half. And then Predators still cash the puck lines. Absolutely wild. Great job, CL. Okay, so Gogster on the Devils in regulation -140. I'm on the Devils -1 and -125. Gogster on first period. Both teams to score in Columbus, Toronto at 155 and over 6 at -120. Gogster on the Jets first period at +110 and the Avs team total under at +125. And Gogster on no goal the first 9.5 minutes at +115. Gogster, where I was at with your record keeping, and I'm almost done. You're doing good. You're having a good season. You're strong. It's been a tough one. So keep up the great work. I can't wait to rock with you on Wednesdays as we move forward, my friend. Please support our guy Gogster on X. I'll pop his X handle in the chat. Gogster, any last words for the Cappers supporting the show?
It's straight as always, Jim. Just talking hockey with you again. 4 games, really broke them down. Good luck with the action. I love our Devils play today. And have a good rest of the show, guys. Cash those tickets, and we'll see you next week.
There he is, Mr. Gogster. Now we move into college basketball. I've got this wealth of great college basketball cappers at my disposal, which is extremely exciting for the show. And I'm going to try to figure out how to utilize them in the best possible way I can. On Wednesdays, CMAC will be the anchor, but we're going to get best bets from Daby Cab, from Wine Time, and maybe others. We're always going to start with CMAC. There's going to be times when he adds games, but I am still trying to figure out how to make this most to work out in our favor with the excellent college basketball cappers that we have at our disposal. So let's get to work here. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We move on to college basketball, and please welcome from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's getting kind of hectic. Conor Mac, aka CMC Music Factory, in the house. C-Mac, how are you?
Yo. Sorry. Dying over here.
What's
going on?
It's very early out west, so thank you for rocking with us. Let's get right to work, C-Mac. I sent over 10 games. Then we have Daby Cab with best bets. We'll ask C-Mac if he's moving on any of those games so we can use that when we're with Daby Cab. That's how we're going to be rolling here. So let's get right to work. Let me just pull up the Action Network and see if we can get some cash flows here. So this is great. I'm soon going to be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesdays are just going to be me and Loshak. Wednesdays, we're going to have a cavalcade of experts joining us. You'll see C-Mac on my show Wednesdays and Fridays. And then on Thursdays, it's Bobano. It's a pretty nice setup. Daby Cab will be giving us bets in college basketball throughout Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and Tuesday. That's an open season for him. Let's get to work here. We start at 6 p.m. Eastern. This is the first college basketball game on the board, which I imagine is going to get a lot of attention from gamblers. But it's a tricky one. Utah Utes 11-6, 3-3 in the Big 12 at the number 7 ranked Houston Cougars 14-3, 6-0 in the Big 12. We're in Houston, Texas for this. Now, we've already heard from Res Mob. The respect play of the day is Houston -12 in the first half. Let's go over these line movements and set this up for C-Mac and hear what his thoughts are for the early spot on the board. We have right now Houston sitting at -18. -18. They opened up at -18. It quickly got up to 19.5. This was 19.5 last night around midnight. And then we had to move back early this morning towards Utah. And then it stopped. It went right back to Houston again. Houston was minus 20 right before the show started. And now we see 19.5. So we've had a 1.5 move towards the Cougars. Let's get to the total here in this one. From a total perspective, we have this sitting at 133. Just moved. There was just a 4-cent move towards the. This is moving towards the under quickly. This was at 135 at 10:42 a.m. Eastern. So exactly an hour and 1 minute ago, this was 135. Now we see a 133. This is heavily juiced to the over, but this is moving quickly here offshore. It's not the only book that's down at 133, but I still see some 134s on the board here. We have Houston with 46% of the tickets and 80% of the cash, a line moving towards them. And then on the total, 94% of tickets and 92% of cash on the over. Random Bozo says BetMGM has a 17.5. So this is all over the place. Then we have Spoon saying, I'm not sure Houston will have the crowd. I'm looking at snow on the ground in Houston right now. They don't have any plows or equipment to move and clear roadways in Texas. So Utah coming off their third straight win at home, 73-72 over BYU in overtime. It was pretty impressive Saturday victory. Now BYU shot terribly, 38.5 from the field and 26.7 from three. But Utah was opened up as a favorite and it closed as a dog. So we don't usually see those teams coming through. But Utah did come through. They've won 3 straight. They're feeling good about themselves, but they can't be feeling too good about themselves going to play at Houston, who have just been winning very, very comfortably at home. They beat BYU by 31 at home. They beat TCU by 19 at home. Now, Utah just won at TCU. Then they beat West Virginia by 16 at home. And they're coming off an underwhelming victory at UCF, winning by a point, 69-68. They shot 18.8% from three. They were 13.5 point favorites, and they barely squeaked it out. Jawan Roberts made the go-ahead layup with a second left. Take it away for us, C-Mac, our first game on the board, Utes Cougars.
Yeah, Utah versus Houston. That last game with Houston, because when I look at this, once I put the under, I think there's a little wiggle room with the under. On Saturday, I thought that was too high. It was 139, 138.5, and that went down to the wire. I'm glad I didn't have OT, that 69-68 game. There's also snow. I don't know if that's really a big thing. I mean, for the Houston team, they're just that good at home and have been that dominant, especially the first half. Off back-to-back games, laying big numbers, basically 13, 14, and then 16.5, 17 against West Virginia, where they don't cover. They win by 16. It's just a huge number because I think this is just a bad spot for Utah. I don't know what to make of this Utah team, Jenny. They've played better the last couple. Don't think BYU is very good. Oklahoma State struggled this year. And when they hit the road, I don't want to back them because I don't know what we get. Shooting-wise, this team's horrible from the free throw line. I think they're 358 in the country. Houston's had problems there, too. They've been a little bit better this year, 74, 75%. But that defense is just, smothering. I don't know if Utah can get anything done here. So I have nothing. I lean under. I get people the Houston first half, and you got to lay a big number. But maybe they just smash them here.
It's dropping. There's a 10.5 available offshore. This opened up at 12. It opened up at 12 juice to the Utes. This is a 10.5. It's not a real 10.5. It's more of an 11. The minus 10.5 is minus 118 for first half. So I'm I guess the opening line, the first half minus 12, the full game minus 18. Maybe that despite Houston possibly emptying the bench, at some point up big, that still seems like a little too extreme. So maybe it's just coming back to a normal spot. We know that Red Spec play today is Houston first half, and Kong's clip says if you know Houston first half at home. Zoe Faye saying the Cougars haven't been covering against the spread or totals this month, being close, but unders. Wine Time, as you said, wants the under. I'm just, I have the Red Spec play of the day here. So again, when the show's over, it's the most important time of the day for me. I'll go over this again. I do think that it's a good spot situationally, as C-Mac mentioned. And Houston coming off shooting 18% from three. They're probably not happy with the game they just played. And we've watched them win by margin at home. It still is a little, it's just not, it doesn't correlate perfect. And I'm going to try to find those spots that do. So let's roll on.
I mean, and Utah, like, it's just really low. The defense is that good. I think it's the best in the country, right there. But their team totals 57.5. Like, I think they hold them to that, but there's not a lot of wiggle room there with Utah's team total under.
I mean, do you think that the line was just a little too extreme towards the first half? Because we see the full game moving from 18 to 19.5, but the first half moving from 12 to 10.5, which is we rarely see that.
That is weird. Yeah. Well, it's become a real thing, the Houston first half. It travels. You see it all over Twitter and everywhere else. It's so I think the books, know that.
And we're protecting themselves.
Of course.
Okay. We will keep an eye on that one. Let's roll on. Next up for 7 p.m. Eastern with the number 5 ranked Florida Gators, 16-2, but just 3-2 in the SEC. At South Carolina Gamecocks, 10-8, 0-5 in the SEC. We're at Colonial Life Arena in Columbia, South Carolina. We have Florida bouncing back from the 83-82 home loss to Missouri by beating up on Texas 84-60. And now they head out on the road again. We've seen them on the road recently. We saw them beat Arkansas 71-63. That was 3 games ago. They won 71-63. It's just 3.5-point favorites. And they won despite not shooting the ball well. 39.1 from the field and 28.6 from 3, but they out-rebounded Arkansas badly and played great defense. South Carolina in the throes of a losing streak, and the last one was ugly. A lot of them have been close games. Well, the lot two against, at home versus Auburn, they almost win. Then they lose by 3 at Vanderbilt, and then they lose badly by 20 on Saturday at Oklahoma. They lose 82-62. They were just 7.5-point dogs. They turned the ball over. They couldn't rebound. They just looked bad across the board. Do we get any kind of bounce back here? Is Florida more comfortable after that big victory against Texas? Let's take a look at the line movement and hand it over to C-Mac. From a spread perspective here, how's that? Here we go. We have, Florida -6 and -115. They opened up at 5.5. I do see 6.5 at a lot of spots, but this is a 6 at -115. So we have, let's say a 3/4 point move towards the. Oh shit, that's the first half. I'm tripping. My bad. Sorry. Of course, they're bigger favorites than that. We have them at -11, heavily juiced -11. So this opened up at 10.5. It's 11.5 everywhere else. This 11's -117. So we have a move towards these Gators, and then on the total here, we have a 146.5. Now this is juiced to the under, but this is climbing very fast right this second. At 10:48 a.m., this was a 144.5. At 10:51, they moved it up to a 146.5. Since then, there's been 6 cents of movement towards the under, but this is still up 3 points from its opener at 143.5, now 146.5. So we have a huge move towards the over here. We take a look at the cash flow for this spot. I apologize. There's just so many games. I think I'll have this set up better for the games as we move forward. But we have 40% of the tickets and 23% of the cash on the Gamecock. So Florida 16-77 on the spread, 75% tickets, 76% cash on the over. Take it away for us, C-Mac. Gators, Gamecocks, and Columbia.
Touch on the total very quick, because I thought if this keeps moving to 147, I might get involved in this. The reason why is this Florida team and why they've been so successful is on the defensive side. I mean, it's kind of blown my mind how good they've been. That's how they've won a ton of these basketball games all year long. And that's what South Carolina wants to do. They need to be play better defense. They don't have the team. They don't score a ton. When they're in basketball games, it has to be slower pace in the 60s because they have trouble turning the ball over. And guys like Murray Boyles and some of these others just have to play well. And it's just been too inconsistent. I kind of want to back them here. Is there 12s out here? Just real fast.
I mean, I'll see. It will cost.
Okay,
a
let me
little
keep
bit of
going.
money. It'll cost a little bit of money unless you see one where you're at. It's going to cost a little bit of money.
Okay.
Oh, there is a 12. Yes, the 12 I just found is at minus 116, and then I'll see what it is at another sharp offshore right now. So keep rolling.
Yeah, with South Carolina, I mean, this team's lost 6 straight, and it's kind of been a blowout. Or a couple covers there where the Auburn game was tight, and then against Vandy. And of course, those were lower scoring games. I've had them already a couple times this year. I think I'm probably 2-2 with South Carolina. But they're at home. This is where they played a lot better basketball. And, I just got to keep bringing up Florida, where in years past, like, this is the spot to fade them, Jimmy. And this is just where I want to fade them off a big win. They have the tight loss to Missouri. They get the big win against Texas. They're that good. It's just small sample, 2-1 on the road this year. They've dominated more at home. But I think South Carolina is in this game. Hey, give me the 12 here. And I'm going to look at this under. I think that might be the better play. Because I like South Carolina. They have to keep this game at a minimum, slow it down. Because if they get up and down, the way if they turn the ball over, Florida could kick their ass, and maybe this does get over. And they would get in the mid-80s if they do. A little bit like, what was that, Alabama did? Or was that right? A couple weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Alabama, the 88-68 in that game. Alabama shot the ball real well that night, though, as well.
I like your angle here. I think it makes a lot of sense. Watching you work, watching Morgan Spooner, Res Mob, and other type of capital that your X's and O's that you're utilizing. Billy Friedrich, same way. You don't need the market to correlate with your action, where my X's and O's aren't nearly close to the level of you guys in college basketball, and I want the market to correlate. One of the things that I've done with your action this year, and it's worked for me, is when after the show the lines moved in your direction, I've taken a point or a point and a half worse than what you've got, and it's cashed for me. I would like to see some sign of no movement on the spread, but I do like where you're at. South Carolina, the best I can find, minus 116. The book I think that's the sharpest offshore is at minus 119, but I get why you want that plus 12 here. Let's roll.
Okay. I think we just could wait on it here a little bit, and maybe we could get a better number.
Yeah, let's take a look before. Yeah, we'll see if we can find it if the VIG keeps moving. I like where you're at, though. I think this makes sense. I'm interested. Res Mob says he was like South Florida the first half, but it feels like he could lose the first half by a bucket. Saturated driving to Illinois today. Saturated drive safe, my friend. Jared Bush says TCU covers tonight. We'll be close to that. We'll be capping that here in a little bit. But let's roll on to the next spot. Head over to the Big East for this one. Xavier Musketeers 12-7, 4-4 in the Big East at the number 20 ranked St. John's Red Storm 16-3, 7-1 in the Big East, and they're playing in Madison Square Garden tonight. Let's take a look at the situation, and we'll start with the line history for this one with the Red Storm. We have St. John's right now at minus 7.5 at most spots. And I'm looking at an 8. I'm looking at an 8 right now, but it is just because it opened at 8, they're going to keep it there for our study. But so at the 8 that it opened with Xavier minus 108. Xavier's now minus 118. So we've had 10 cents of movement towards Xavier at the 8. But of course, you see a lot of 7s and a halves in the market. We have a total of 148 juice to the over. This is lower than at other books, and it's dropping it dropped 40 minutes ago. It dropped from 149.5. Not only this, but the 149.5 at 11:11 a.m. was minus 118 to the over. It was heavily juiced to the over. And then this very sharp offshore dropped it to 148, dropped it a point and a half. Now it's still slightly juiced to the over, But that is a pretty legitimate drop there. Let's see if we can get the cash flow for this one. We have, sorry, get this here. Here we go. Here, they're not giving us any information on the spread, which is unfortunate. We have 93% of tickets, 93% of cash on the over, and yet this is dropped. So it's a surprise drop. It turns out that we're not going to have much. Now, we are talking about the big game, so we'll have some, but we're not going to have as much information as we were hoping for on the cash flow on the spread here. So we have Xavier, St. John's. Let's just take a quick look at the rest situation and then hand it over to CMAC. The Musketeers and St. John's both played on Saturday. Xavier won their third straight game in impressive fashion, 59-57 at Marquette. They come and, they stay on the road. They've looked pretty good there. Since that loss at Georgetown, they beat DePaul 77-63 on the road, and then, of course, just beat Marquette on the road. Now St. John's, of course, rolling. Against Marquette, Xavier was 9.5-point dogs. 9.5-point dogs. Xavier won despite shooting 11.8% from three. Just playing tough basketball here. Winning games despite shooting poorly. And then you have St. John's. So St. John's went to Xavier and beat them 82-72 15 days ago. Is this the kind of rebenga that gamblers love so much? St. John's came to Cincy, beat them soundly, beat them despite shooting 12.5% from three, and now they have to defend their home court. St. John's was a very slight favorite. Favorite in that one. Take it away for us here, CMAC. Very interesting Big East spot. Musketeers, Red Storm.
In that first game, Jimmy, that's what the St. John's team has been doing really all year long. They've been that good, on the defense side, but inside, because this team is not very good shooting it. They just aren't. They're not good. And I think that catches up with them. I talked about it, but another team, just like St. John's, Michigan State, they just keep winning. They just keep winning and winning with some bad numbers from three and the free throw line. He talked about they've had multiple games where they've gone 2 of 16. I think that Butler game, they went 1 of 18 from three, won the game by 6. And they've been playing really, really great defense. This is the best St. John's team so far I've seen, in probably 25, 30 years. They have an injury here. He's probable, though. I had it on here for St. John's. Anyways, I think he goes. I like the under. These teams have, one thing, Xavier, I think they shoot the ball a lot better than they just did that last game against Marquette. And they still won that game. That was just an ugly 59-57. But St. John's has just kind of slowed us down, played more defense where they're not getting up and down, and playing to the over, which has been so successful, which I've been taking the last couple of years. So I think Xavier could hang around. The St. John's team just keeps winning. They have been great against the number. And we're going to start seeing them stretched out to these numbers when they keep winning, being 16-3. But I like the under here. I agree. I'm going to wait on this. I want to look at it just a little bit more, but I like this under.
Troy backing the under as well, says this market is very efficient in this price range. Home favorites between 6 and 9, market moving towards the under. If the total is less than 140, 74% to the under. So, and you can still get a 149.5 available right now, despite the sharp books already moving it down. I can understand Morgan saying Fremantle looks the best I've ever seen him. Careful with Xavier. I can understand the thought process, but would you say, CMAC, in your history capping college basketball, that when the team like St. John's goes into Xavier, goes into Cincy and beats them, that team generally has an edge in the rematch, despite facing the team that just beat them, in their barn? Is this an angle that you like?
Yeah, when I start, I do. It's a little bit different with going on the road and then coming back, and then that all depends on the number too. And more we got to talk about. It's just college basketball's turning a little bit because of the money, Jimmy. Like the NBA, there's just a lot of blowouts, and I had a rough day yesterday. I haven't had too many, but yesterday was. But there's just like these nights where it's just like they just take it off. As of course, we're kind of new into the NIL and all the money, but this seems like a spot they're ready to go with Xavier, and they need wins. I mean, like they're 12-7. They need to go in there and get a win. It's huge here at Madison Square Garden, so I think you get their best effort.
I find Xavier extremely appealing here. Anything over 7. I'm not going to rush to bet it right now because if it was to move to 7, I wouldn't be too angry if the market was continuing that direction. Again, we have no cash flow information.
I like them. I like them on the road. I know they're only 2-4, but they've been. I like seeing teams where they've won some of these games that they should to Paul, and then they've at least been in games. They haven't really got blown out on the road. I always love to see that if I'm taking a road dog.
Yeah, Troy's saying that he wants the 8. I expect to be on Xavier. I don't.
Yeah, I'd like to get an 8. An 8 would be a lot better.
Yeah, and you can pay for the 8. It's not too expensive. And Troy saying you want road dogs in college basketball between 6 and 9. And Chris Warren saying road dogs were 1-11 last night as well. Troy waiting for the cash flow situation, which we all are. Speaking of which, Troy, if Action comes up with any of this cash flow information, can you send us a little message as well? Let's roll on here. We got C-Mac joining us from Las Vegas, Nevada, star of the Hitting the Books YouTube channel. Indiana Hoosiers 14-5, 5-3 in the Big Ten at Northwestern Wildcats 11-7, 2-5 on the Big Ten. Welsh Ryan Arena in Evanston, Illinois here. We have this total, another total that's dropping. Opened up at 141. I started dropping about an hour, 45 minutes ago, down to 139.5. It is slightly juiced to the over. Let's get into the spread here for this one. We have Indiana +5, not a real 5, more of a 5.5, but a lot of the other books are hanging 6s. This opened up at 5.5 and it moved to 6.5 at 8:20 this morning. It's come back. Again, it says 5, but it's -101 for the Hoosiers and -116 for the Wildcats. But it's a slight, let's say, the quarter point move towards the Wildcats, and we have a legitimate move towards the under. Let's take. We have no cash flow information except for the total: 82% tickets, 83% cash on the under. We have Daby Cab here in the chat. On Friday, he gave us a winner with these Hoosiers +7.5 at Ohio State. They won that 77-76 in overtime. They were coming off being blown out on the road and at home, and it's difficult to back teams in that situation. It's sort of similar to the LA Kings tonight, and I know why a lot of you guys are on them. And again, if the LA Kings weren't going off on another 6-game road trip, I would definitely be on them too, but I can completely understand why people are on them. And here, sometimes you have to hold your nose, and that's what Daby Cab did and cashed with the Hoosiers. Northwestern coming off back-to-back overtime games. The last one was at Michigan. They played their hearts out. It was on Sunday. They lose 80-76 as 9.5-point dogs. That was a tough one. Tough one. Played their hearts out. So here we go. No cash flow information. Hoosiers, Wildcats in Evanston. Take it away.
Ooh, this one's a tough one. Northwestern, when you go back just to the series, it has really owned Indiana. But these games, for the most part, have been close. And Northwestern, not really a team that I want to lay points with. And I think they've lost their last 2 here. Oh, no, they beat Maryland. Still by 2 in a close game. Where they just, they covered against DePaul. They covered against Northeastern. But I don't trust them laying this number. They have not been very good at all. Of course, they have to slow everything down, does Northwestern. Rely on their defense. They don't have a ton of shooters, and that hasn't been good. when you're only shooting 30% from three. I don't know what to make of Indiana. That was a great game from them from jump. They were in the first half versus Ohio State. Then they blew it. They still went there and hung on. This one, when I was going through it, I didn't have really anything on it. Here, Jimmy, I'd lean to the under as well. But Northwestern's been a little bit more of a over team. They've been lacked, their defense at times from half to half hasn't been great. So I don't really have anything here. Do you?
No,
Sure
I can understand the trepidation here. And I apologize. I said a quarter point move to Northwestern. That was a quarter point move to the Hoosiers. I can understand too what Troy's saying. He's saying I'd be on Indiana if they weren't coming off a win. So yeah,
I mean, I agree. I still think I'd take them or nothing here. I think those 6 points could be valuable in a game like Northwestern could win this by 10 or 12. Wouldn't shock me, but they're just not a team that consistently wins by margin, even at home. Even in the series where it seems like they've kind of beat them the last couple of years at home. Yeah, a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I'm comfortable not getting involved in that spot in Evanston. So let's roll on. We head over to the Mountain West for our next spot. We're going to talk about 2 spots in the Mountain West on today's show. In a little bit, we're going to talk about the Nevada Wolfpack, and that's after California Golden Bears. So those are the 2 stacks plays of the day back-to-back that we'll be getting into. But this is the first spot here. And again, I'm trying to ensure that we have as much coverage of college basketball as possible. And I'm going to keep expanding on it. So this was a late game I added it through at CMAC, one I really wanted to talk about. So let's roll. Justin McKelvey has Colorado State plus 1.5 in his pocket. We have the Boise State Broncos 13-6, 5-3 in the Mountain West, of the Colorado State Rams 11-7, 5-2 Mountain West, Moby Arena in Fort Collins, Colorado. Colorado State bounced back from the 15-point loss at San Diego State that stopped their winning streak with the 79-63 win at Wyoming on Saturday. So they had back-to-back road games, San Diego State and Wyoming. They took out Wyoming. They opened at 3.5-point favorites. They closed as 4.5-point favorites. They won by 16. It was a perfect bounce-back spot for them, and they handled their business. You could say the exact same thing about Boise State. Morgan Spooner gave a spectacular breakdown as to why he believed in New Mexico against Boise State on Friday, and they won by 19. He was absolutely right. And this was another spot where you watch a capper with the X's nose and the market doesn't correlate, and yet it wins easily. It was a very nice job. Boise State also has just played Wyoming. They beat them 96-55. It feels like a bounce-back spot for these Broncos. But then you have to trust them on the road, and that's what we talked about before. I mean, we watched them lose at Utah State. Now Utah State 6-1 in conference, 16-2 overall. There's no shame in losing by 2 points to Utah State. But it does feel like this has got to be a bounce-back spot for the Broncos. Now, Justin McKelvey doesn't believe there's going to be a bounce-back spot for the Broncos. So let's take a look at the line history here and then hand this over to CMAC. Boise State right now +1. They opened up at +2. So this opened up at 7:29 p.m. last night, +2. There was a 1-point move. Took about 2 hours and 15 minutes for that move to come. And then at 10:30 this morning, these were the favorites. Boise State had become the favorites in this basketball game. Now Colorado State back to the -1. So it was a nice job getting the +1.5. DC Capper also looking at Colorado State. The Teacup Capper looking at Colorado State. I'm a little surprised that nobody expects a very angry Boise State Bronco team that was just embarrassed at the pit. I'm a little surprised. Of this total is at 140.5. It's -116 to the under. We've had 6 cents of movement to the under. Unfortunately, the only cash flow information we're getting is on the total. 72% of the tickets, 68% cash on the over. Let me hear your breakdown, because I would think that cappers would be expecting a bounce back spot from the Broncos. What are you expecting here, C-Mac? Take it away. Broncos, Rams, and Fort Collins.
This should be a really good one. Nico Medved, he's, this Colorado State team's looked a lot better. I'd say the last, 2 weeks? I think they've won 4 of 5. They did lose at San Diego State, but finally turning it around a little bit. A good win against UNLV. Just got blown out. And UNLV up and down. Big favorites last night. Can't get it done. And then to go to Wyoming, which is not an easy place, and took care of business. There to Colorado State. So this one is tough. Boise just took it right out of that basketball game, right from jump. And so now what we've seen from them on the road is a little bit of mixed results. Jimmy, I think they've played for the most part well. I think if you like Boise, when I went through this game last night, you'd want them early, right? I want them first half. If I were to take them, if you expect them to play better after such a horrible game, but they basically have to win the first half here. Colorado State, not easy place to play. Boise's had success though in the past, and I think this Boise State team's a little bit better than Colorado State. But Colorado State, like I talked about, have moved them up a little bit. Just the last 2 or 3 weeks, started to play better basketball. Where they were pretty bad. Watching them early on to get things together. So this is a tough game. Some people, I get it, think it's cheap for Colorado State. On the other side, to me, Boise's like the better basketball team, and I think they could go in there and win. It wouldn't be the biggest deal. You know what I mean?
I think that you're right. That if you're in a very tight game, where can we trust Boise State the most after being embarrassed? And it's probably the race to 20. It's probably early here. Interesting stuff. We've got information just given to us from Jose Bouquet, the taint play of the day. Now, we have Ron Crawford's action here, which I've copied and pasted. We've already talked about that King spot, but we have Pistons and NBA and Miami, Florida, which will be coming up here with CMAC. That's the final game with CMAC Hurricanes Stanford. But here, the taint play of the day does follow what Troy's saying in the chat. Troy says, I think I like the over in this game. Zoe Faye saying both teams consistently go over this total of 139.5, not even sweaty in his opinion. So we have the taint play of the day is the over 140.5 in this one. Shout out to our guy, Matty Guy. Taint. Bucks Pelicanos game postponed, says Ricky Bobby. That was such a fascinating game, but we can move past it. Look, I want Boise State here, and I think that CMAC is right with the first half or even a race to 20. This is a Boise State Broncos bounce back spot screaming at me. I mean, just embarrassed against a rival. And you're back out on the road. This is you just want to get back out there as soon as possible. I'm going to figure out exactly how to bet this shortly. And then it'll also give more time for the market to marinate. Let's roll on. We've already talked about one Wildcat squad, Northwestern. Now Kansas State Wildcats. One pops off 9 p.m. Eastern, 7-10, but horrific in the Big 12. Just 1-5 in the Big 12 at the Baylor Bears. The Baylor 11-6, 3-3 in the Big 12. We're at Foster Pavilion in Waco, Texas. Let's set this one up here. We'll go to the line history. This is the 9 p.m. start. We've got to the 9 p.m. games. There's a lot of really fun games. 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Kansas State in the throes of a real legitimate losing streak. They've lost 5 straight games. They've lost 8 of 9. This season is getting away from them. Coming off an 84-74 loss at Kansas. That was on the heels of a 61-57 loss at home to Texas Tech. 87-57 loss at home versus Houston. The loss against Kansas, we know how good Kansas is. Look, they covered. They were 14.5-point dogs. They only turned the ball over 5 times. They just got out-rebounded so badly, but that happens quite often when you go up against Dickinson. So there's an excuse here. So losers of 5 straight and 8 of 9, going up against the Baylor Bears, who've lost 2 straight. This is an angry group. They lose at Arizona 81-70, and then on Sunday, which gives Kansas State the 1-day rest advantage, they lose at home to TCU. They lose 74-71 as 12.5-point favorites. I mean, Wenzel hits the late 3 to win it. This is another spot. Baylor was in complete control. They got outscored by 10 points in the second half at home. This has got to be a very angry group. Gold Picks asking about Kansas State first half. Let's start with the total, 142.5. This opened up at 141.5. It just climbed to 142.5 30 minutes ago. So we have a 1-point move towards the over. And then let's get into the point spread here for this spot. We have Baylor is 12.5-point favorites. They opened up at 13 and went back to 12. It's 12.5. So it's been a half-point move. So it's funny with Gold Picks thinking of Kansas State first half because I would be thinking Baylor first half. So let's just see what the spread is on the first half and if there's been any movement here. Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. Here we go. So first half for Baylor. I mean, God, I wish it wasn't such a big spread. It's a 7. This is juice to Kansas State. And so we've moved 4 cents towards Kansas State. God, it's tricky. Let's see if they'll give us any cash flow information here for this 9 p.m. start. And again, we're not getting it yet, but we do have money on or cash flow on the total. 86% of tickets, 86% of cash on the under. Wow. Daby Cab says, I would bet KC State because who the fuck is Baylor to be laying 13.5? Only reason I'm not is because Baylor is fake good, meaning they will beat up on the teams they can and lose to good teams. We have BJ's best bets, which I'll be copying and pasting here. Spoon's bet says Tang and Drew have a really close relationship. They worked together for 20 years and were roommates at one point. Tang knows the Drew bag of tricks. This feels like too many points. Take it away. What a fascinating cap, C-Mac. Wildcats, Bears in Waco.
Well, yeah, this is even, for years, this matchup's just been good for K-State. And they put this line out here. I think Baylor is a little bit frauds, flat out. But after the back-to-back losses, now haven't covered 3 straight, 4 of 5. You got to think they play better. The problem is, I don't trust them. And they're just so inconsistent. The defense just still isn't there. It come and goes. One problem with Kansas State, offensively, they haven't been good. They turn the ball over, at a high rate. That just has been very sloppy. Can they go on the road? They had a few road games where they've been in them. And what was these couple here? TCU was close there. And they've gotten blown out at a couple. And they just played somewhat all right game, covered that game against Kansas. But this has just been a down year for K-State. When I look at this, I can't back Baylor. I know they're pissed off, and this seems like the spot. I couldn't do it. There's just no way, even though this may be theirs. And I wouldn't really want to lay 13. Could they win by 20? Sure. But I think this game's just could be too close in the end in a Baylor team that, would Cap call them frauds? I think they're a little bit. Yeah, but they could beat up a team like this by 15 or 20. But in the end, I can't lay it here.
This is
take a first half.
It's got to be an angry Baylor team.
Yeah, and in that game against TCU, they had a good first half. They got their ass kicked in the second.
I feel like this is similar to when Baylor loses to Iowa State badly. They get embarrassed.
This is true. Cincy.
They come back and play Cincy. Cincy, we would say, is a better team, I think, than Kansas State. A
little bit.
Marginally.
Kind of similar, though.
And they outscored 35-20 in the first half. They smash and grab them in the first half. I'm going to be on Baylor.
They're still, I get it. And K-State's still 0-5 on the road. I know they've covered a couple numbers, but
fun breakdown. I'm seeing my card come together, which I get great joy in seeing. Baylor first half will be on my card. wonder if I pay a nickel for the 6.5 or take the 7 with lower vig. I'll make that decision a little bit later. Let's roll on. Not flush look is Baylor team total over. I completely get that. And Zoe Faye saying Kansas State under 64.5 team total or pass. Let's roll on. Card is coming together. The night is going to be glorious. 9 p.m. Eastern, Florida State Seminoles 13-5, 4-3 in the ACC. Shout out to the big Ragu. Got my Seminole hat over there. Probably should have rocked it today, but it was great being back with Gogster, so I rocked the Gogster app. At the California Golden Bears, 9-9, 2-5 in the ACC. We're at Haas Pavilion for this one. Let's get this one all set up here. This is another 9 p.m. start. These games are just incredible at 9 p.m. This is going to be another extremely fun one with Florida flying across the continent for this one. We have Florida State winners of 2 straight, both at home. We did see them on the road. They went to University of Miami, beat them by 15, and then lost by 20 at Clemson. They come back. They beat Pittsburgh at home 82-70, and then on Saturday, they win 91-78. Over Georgia Tech. They were 8.5-point opening, closed at 9.5 point favorites. They were up 37-24, and then they just took their foot off the gas a little bit in the first half, but it was impressive. Now they head back out onto the road, and this is tricky. Going up against a California Golden Bears team at home, they faced Virginia and Virginia Tech back-to-back earlier in the month, about a week and a half ago. They faced Virginia, beat them 75-61, then lost to VTech. Then they went out on the road. They lose badly at North Carolina, 79-53. And then they bounced back against NC State. They played good ball. Now NC State shot 10% from 3. But they were 6.5-point dogs, and they took care of business in a low-scoring, ugly affair. And now they come back home. So that game was on Saturday. Florida State feeling good about themselves. Cal feeling, good enough about themselves. Let's take a look at the information, and we're not going to get much. What we get is total again. So annoying. But 49% of tickets, 49% cash on the over. And when we get to the spread here, we have Cal. Oh, that's first half. My apologies. Let me just move quickly over to full game. We have Cal at home sitting on the plus 1.5. Now it's really a 2, although it's 1.5 across the board. Here it's juiced minus 113 towards Florida State. Florida State opened up at minus 1 at 7:30 last night. By 9:43 p.m., it moved a full point towards them. It's come back marginally. It looks like a 2 is on its way. So it's moved a half point and 5 cents of juice on the side. And then on the total, this is sitting right now at 151.5 at a pick'em. This opened up at 150, so we've gone up a 1.5. Take it away for us here, CMAC. Seminoles, Golden Bears in Berkeley, California.
Yeah, but Florida State off a couple really big wins. I don't think this team is very good. They played great against Pitt. Pitt kind of a little bit of a slide there, but this is a bad travel spot. Can we trust Cal? I think so. When I wrote Cal here, nothing. On this total, I leaned over. Florida State's played a little bit to the over. Cal was playing at a really, really high pace. It kind of slowed down, and lately these games have gone over 4 or 5 and 3 straight. They haven't shot as well, and everything's kind of slowed down a little bit, the pace of play in their possessions. So does that happen here? I think at 151, it still could get over. At Florida State, one thing about them, they're still 13-5, and they've been 12-2 ATS, which is a little bit sneaky as this team. But this is a tough game on the road. I think Cal, who's been playing gritty, just had that win against NC State. I think they're the team you want to back here. But this seems like a kind of a coin flip. But I'd rather have Cal here at home to back. Florida State, a little bit when the numbers show better defensively. It's just they have been. When you look at everything, Florida State has been. Cal's been a little bit leaky at times. But like I talked about, the last 3 or 4 games, I think they've been a little bit better. on that side. So yeah, I think this is a Cal or nothing here.
Initially I was concerned with the travel back, even though Florida State's going through the travel as well. If you go back to the beginning of the year, in beginning of 2025 calendar year, they went they played at Pittsburgh and at Clemson. They lose both games by margin. They come back and they're ready to go. They win 75-61, over Virginia. They were 4.5-point favorites. They were ready to go. So they have been in this situation before. We also have the Stacks play of the day number 1. Number 2's in the following game. Stacks play of the day number 1 is the California Golden Bears. Shout out to our guy Justin.
Stacks.
Troy leading Cal as well. God, I wish we had the cash flow information, which will become available here in the next hour or two. Is there anything you want to make official at this point?
Yeah, I have some games we'll get to.
No, but I mean, sorry, no, I know you do, but here for Florida, Cal.
No, not on Cal. I haven't moved on them yet.
Okay, well, Cal is a question mark. No, BJ, we just don't have market information at this point. We know where the line's going. We don't know where the cash is. So we will have to wait a little bit. But I'm interested in Cal, which I wasn't. I wasn't on Florida State, but I felt like I was just going to move past it. But now I've become interested in Cal.
Well, yeah, they just have to win the game here. I mean, you're even catching 1.5, 2. This is kind of similar. They played at home, Virginia Tech. They were laying 7, right, in that game. Mm-hmm. They lost outright 71. I just think the game could be close, but difference, they're not laying 7 here. You're getting 2. So, I mean, I think that works.
Even that, because the reason why I talked about those games versus Virginia and Virginia Tech was because my thought would be, well, you'd probably want Cal in game 2 of coming back home, which would be Miami on Saturday night. But that wasn't the case when they came back in their first Eastern trip, Pittsburgh and Clemson. They came back, they beat Virginia and looked good to go, and then lost to Virginia Tech, as C-Mac mentioned. So I am interested in Cal. It's not a sure thing for me, but I'm interested. Let's roll on, because not only do we have the Stacks play of, that's coming up in a second. Sorry, we're one off of that. Sorry, we have one more game. We head back to the Mountain West. My apologies. Mountain West action. Thank you, Jose. Nevada Wolfpack 11-7, 3-4 in conference. At the Utah State Aggies 16-2, 6-1 in conference. Logan, Utah, expecting an opportunity to be in the tournament this year, and they may have the team that could provide some excitement when we are in San Antonio, Texas for Pub-A-Palooza floor. Nevada has won 4 straight, but look who they beat. They needed overtime to beat Fresno State. They beat the Air Force by 6. On Saturday at home, they beat San Jose State by 11. They don't cover that either. These are underwhelming performances here from the Wolfpack. And then you have Utah State coming off of a loss. They haven't played since last Wednesday, so they have a rest advantage. They're an angry group. They're coming off the 65-62 loss at UNLV, just their second loss of the season. They were 5.5-point favorites. They didn't deliver. They played sloppy. It does set up for an angry Utah State Aggie squad against the Nevada Wolfpack team that has been underwhelming. So let's get into the line history here for this next spot on the board. This total is a 141.5. It's minus 116 to the under, so it's 6 cents. Oh, sorry, it just moved to the over. It just moved 4 minutes ago to the over. We've had a 5-cent move now to the over, so it's a dramatic swing, a 12-cent swing just 5 minutes ago. And then when we get to the point spread here, we have Utah State -7 at minus 107. They open up at -6. Then this morning it moves to 6.5. And now we have a 7. It did drop back to 6.5 just before showtime, but when we have a 7. So we have a full point move towards the Aggies. I just, wish we had some cash flow information, which we don't. We have total information, 68%, 66% ticket, 66% cash on the over. I find this appealing, but I would like some reassurance. Is this not an Aggies smash and grab? Take it away, C-Mac. Wolfpack, Aggies, and Logan.
Yes, it hasn't been, an easy matchup for Utah State. I think this is. I mean, they've had all these days off here. It's been a ton of rest for Utah State to sit with it. I think you lean full game. Going back last night and even some today, I want to look at Utah State first half. They haven't been good first half, though. Everything could change. I'm just saying this so far this year, in a lot of games, they haven't been great. Well, bottom line, though, they haven't lost a lot either. So, the scenario's a little bit different. They're off this tough loss to UNLV, one that they blew. That was, they had the 6-point lead with, I forget, or 8-point lead with like 45 seconds. It was just wild ending there in that game. Couldn't get anything, and they lose. So I think they come out in this game. I like them here. The classic 7 here at home for Utah State. And the more I looked at it, that's what I was talking about. I'd want them full game. They've been at their best so far all the way through, and even better in the second half. But everything screams to the spot to take them early. Nevada off these bad losses consistently throughout the year. Now they get some beat up, sorry ass teams. They win 3 straight, 3 or 4. But still not a team that I trust much. I got to plug this in, Jamie. Sorry, my juice is out.
Okay, no worries. We'll get you back. Set when your camera's set up. This is a Utah State smash and grab for me. I'm going to be on Utah State first half and Utah State first full game. Now, it is true. A goal pick saying Daby's still here. Daby, we got best bets coming up in a second. Shout out to my guy MMA Locker Room in the house. We have Troy Torrance saying Razorbacks on my short list here. I think what we should do is we should give C-Mac some time to get ready. We got 2 games left with C-Mac. We have Daby Cab with 3 huge games. So I think we just get Daby Cab on right now as we wait for C-Mac to get ready. And Daby Cab, look at this guy. This guy was the closer in college, man. You just a couple fingers to the shoulder and he appears immediately backstage. Let's bring him on, the star of Medicate Mondays and the starting 5. I really think this is going to work, what we're going to be doing on these Wednesdays, having these cappers go solo so we can cover as many games as possible. Let's bring him on right now. By the way, MMA Locker Room says Baylor ain't Baylor. My Kansas State covers because, I like Baylor in that spot here. But that is in just first half. But that is crucial information, so I'm going to copy and paste that. Please welcome the star of all things college here on our program. And good God, am I excited about hanging out with him in San Antonio. Please welcome Mr. Dabra Kadabra to the show. Daby, how are you?
Man, this is the time of year for me, Jimmy. I know everybody's a little sad that football's coming to an end, but not me, because college basketball is getting up and rolling right now, and this is my favorite time to be somebody who bets on sports right now. So shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's get some money today, man.
It's a great time to be alive, my friend. Let's take advantage of the moment. That's when I tap somebody else on the shoulder. It does mean if I've been drinking heavily and you feel a couple fingers on, don't turn around. Okay, let's get to work here. 7 p.m. Eastern, Kansas Jayhawks 13-4, 4-2 in the Big 12 at the TCU Horned Frogs 10-7, 3-3 in the Big 12. We're in Fort Worth, Texas here. And look at that. Mel says we catching the under on the Oilers game last night. We're going right back to an under tonight. Nabs, Jets. I completely get it. And you got to get that moved at the sharpest books from 6.5 to 5.5 this morning. So you got to get the highest number you can. And Mel, great look there. We got Daby Cab for best bet here. We have 3 of them. Let's go to town. Jayhawks, Horned Frogs here. This one pops off at 7 p.m. Eastern. We have these Jayhawks bouncing back from that loss at Iowa State. It was an ugly one, 74-57, by beating Kansas State 84-74. We already talked about the spot. They didn't cover. but they took care of business. TCU went to Baylor and left with a victory. That was on the heels of an ugly loss. We know these teams, it's really easy to motivate kids after losing or being embarrassed at home. And you could say losing to the Utes is embarrassing. They come back and they beat Baylor. That was on Sunday, so Kansas does have a one-day rest advantage. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We have Kansas right now minus 6.5 with low VIG. This is an interesting market. Opened up at 6.5, dropped to 6, and then down to 5. Then it came right back and got Kansas State back to the 6.5. So at this point, there's only been just 3 cents of movement towards TCU. Not a ton of info. We'll see if we get cash flow information here on this one. When we get to the total, we have a 136. It's juiced to the over at minus 112. But this is another fascinating market. This opened up at 137, dropped to 136. Right before showtime, it dropped to 135. And then right before we started, dropped all the way down to 133.5. At that point, we'd moved 3.5 points towards the under. Since then, it's climbed all the way back up to 136. So U-shaped movement on both spread and total. And then when we get to the cash flow information, will they give us any? That is the question. Let me just take 1 second. And yes, we have cash flow information. Thank God. 33% of the tickets, 38% of the cash on the Horned Frogs. So market-wise, that is appealing. Take it away for us, Jayhawks, Horned Frogs, Daby Cab.
Yeah, I can understand a market being appealing for TCU here. And Kansas, started the year, number 1 in the nation. And I don't think they're the best team in college basketball. They still got players, across the board, whether you're talking about Zeke Mayo or Storr, that are still getting used to this team, that are still fitting in. I mean, it's what you got right here. They're starting to hit stride, but I don't consider Kansas, the best team in college basketball. I don't even consider them the top 5, honestly, in my personal opinion. But I think very lowly of this TCU basketball team. I think that's great. They were able to get a win against Baylor. Again, this is a Baylor team that isn't very good. Baylor is very fake good this year. We've heard it all day in the chat. I've said it a couple times. You guys have touched on it. Baylor's not a great basketball team. And this TCU team struggles to put up points. I mean, badly. Their offense is atrocious, Jimmy. I'm talking, if you look at their top scorers, they got 3 people in double digits with their top guy being at 12.5 points per game. That's not good. You only got 3 people in double digits and your top guy at Reynolds is only averaging 12.5. They're not putting up a lot of points. And that is the type of game where Kansas excels, because Kansas goes cold on offense. And that's why I was hating on them a little bit at the beginning of this breakdown, is Kansas can just go ice cold. But TCU is the type of team that I think Kansas can beat by 20 or 30 points, just like they did Cincinnati. I think of TCU as a worse version of Cincinnati, right? And I know wins aren't transitional, but look at what Kansas did to Cincinnati. They're going to do the same thing to TCU, in my opinion. TCU coming off that big win against Baylor, they're only sitting at 10-7 on the year. That's arguably their best win on the season. So I think there's a bit of a letdown spot here. I got -3 in the first half with Kansas. I think that's a great bet. I think Kansas wins this comfortably. If TCU does cover, it's backdoor at the end of the game. So I'll take Kansas first half.
Jayhawks first half. Do you think Kansas is an angry group after beating K-State by 10, or you think they're comfortable with that? Because it was the perfect situation for both teams. They were both coming off of losses. They both stepped up. So that the motivation is a little different.
There's certain times where, I look at what we're talking about, motivation and on the road, home, let down, all this stuff. And yeah, it matters a ton, especially in college basketball. But I don't think any of that makes a difference here. I think Kansas down low is just going to dominate this basketball game. I think Dickinson, I think Adams are going to control it. I don't think TCU is going to be able to put up enough points to even be in the basketball game, personally.
All right. Okay. Well, that will take me off of where I thought the market was kind of pushing me. Kansas first half. Did you tweet this out already, or do I line shop?
I posted it out. -3.
Okay. -3. What was the juice?
-109.
-109. Before. Oh, perfect timing. Perfect timing. So we're going to roll on to our next spot on the board here. And it is, your A&M Aggies. Before we go into this, and you can keep this up on the board, Jose, I'm curious what you think of what Troy just said in the chat. He said that where is it here? He said, if I had to place a future right now, Texas Tech national champions. What do you think of that?
I mean, like value-wise, there's probably a lot of value on that. I don't necessarily think Texas Tech is the best team in college basketball by any means. I mean, God damn, look at Auburn. I mean, Broom goes out and they're just like, we don't care. We're still going to win games. But I mean, I think it's Auburn, man, especially when Broom's healthy. But as far as like a value bet goes, I got no problem with it.
All right, let's talk about the Aggies. 3-2 in the SEC, 14-4, ranked 13th in the nation. At the number 16th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. We're in Oxford for this one. We have Texas A&M. They lose at home to Alabama by 6. They head to Kentucky and lose by 12. And then they come back home, an angry group, and they beat LSU. LSU's looked terrible in conference. LSU played terrible in the basketball game, but Texas A&M didn't play very well either. 10.5-point favorites, and they cover by a half point. That is the Aggies when we last saw them. And now they head out on the road. We did watch them beat Oklahoma on the road earlier this month. And that came on the heels of them destroying Texas 80-60. But Ole Miss is probably an angry group. Winning streak snapped by the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Now they were, 5.5-point dogs on the road, and they had every right to lose that game, and they lose it in overtime. The issue was they got out rebounded 51-29. I mean, we saw the Achilles heel for Ole Miss, and it's the glass. Spoon's bets. Morgan Spoon says Texas A&M got better when they played without Taylor. Taylor had a game to get right. That being said, Ole Miss is one position away from being first in the SEC. Great game to watch. Go A&M.
I understand. At first, I was like, wait, what? They got better. I understand what you're saying. I thought you were saying they were better without him. I'm like, what? No, they got better. I got you, Spoon. That makes sense.
Let's take a look at the line history here before we hand it over to Daby Cab for Aggies Ole Miss. This totals 142.5 minus 113 to the over. This opened up at 141.5. So we've climbed a point. So it's gone 1 point to the over. And then on the spread, we have Ole Miss -3 at -111. They opened up at 3.5. So we have a half-point move towards Texas A&M. Half-point move towards Texas A&M. And we are unlikely to get any cash flow information, but I will check here and and again, no cash flow information. 82% tickets, 82% cash on the over. Take it away for us here, Daby Cab, Aggies, Rebels.
I watch as much college basketball as I possibly can, like constantly. I'm watching it. And Ole Miss, they're one of the teams I've been on this year. Obviously, A&M has. Everybody knows that. But Ole Miss also, I want to say they've covered 13 out of 18 of their games this year, Ole Miss. I don't have it right in front of me, but I've just been dominant against the spread. And they've been very good to me in my account as I bet on them. But just like anybody else, I'll read things about teams. I'll look at the local stuff with the teams. I'll look at stuff other people write up. And it seems like everybody wants to talk about what A&M's been doing lately. Like it fucking matters, okay? The loss to Kentucky and Alabama doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what Spoon Bet said. They got better without Wade Taylor. But to hold those losses against them without Wade Taylor in the game, that's ludicrous, okay? They're not the same team without Wade Taylor. They got Wade Taylor back right here. He had the LSU game to get ready. And Ole Miss is trying to be A&M, okay? Ole Miss is where A&M was last year. This team right now for Ole Miss is A&M last year. A&M has experience. They have size. They're going to dominate the glass. They're a team that's traveled and played on the road. This is not a problem for them. They've done it for a couple years. Buzz Williams is going to be ready for it. I took A&M first half. This is a line it up spot for the way that I bet A&M first half. And just for full transparency right now, I'm 5-3 when I bet A&M this year in college basketball. So I need this one. I'm not up a bunch. I'm barely up on them, just barely over a unit. But this is a spot that I like here for A&M first half. I also took Phelps over 1.5 threes at minus 107. You know, he's somebody who's starting to get into form. And to shout out what Spoon Betts just said, you know, he's starting to get more playtime and shoot the ball more, right? At the beginning of the season, he was looking at maybe 4 attempts from the 3-point line. You know, the last 4 games, he's been in 30-plus minutes, and he's taking anywhere from 6 to 10 shots. If he's going to give me 6 to 10 attempts, over 1.5 at minus 107 is a beautiful line. So I got Phelps over 1.5 at minus 107 and A&M first half plus the points. I got +2, by the way. I tweeted it out.
A&M first half +2. What was the juice?
Minus 115. I got that earlier before it had moved. Yeah, minus 115.
You are locked in. Texas A&M first half +2 at minus 115. Phelps over 1.5 threes at minus 107. We're going to talk Trojans, Huskers, and then we are going to have CMAC back in business with us for Arkansas. Oh, excuse me. For Arkansas home to Georgia and Miami, Stanford, and then we'll roll into the association. So let's roll. Also, we have our next guest here for Trojans, Cornhuskers basketball. Please welcome the man who almost got to 60%, but was still spectacular throughout the year. 60% in the regular season. What a phenomenal job in college football. Please welcome Wine Time Sports back in business. Wine Time, what's good, man? How are you?
Jimmy the Bag, Daby Cab, good to see you guys, man. Yeah, we are this close, man. Rough night for the Natty for me, but we move on to it, man. It was a great season. Had a great time doing it with you guys on the show, with both of you guys and Jose behind the scenes. Yeah, shout out to you guys. But yeah, this is my only college basketball play today, guys. Woke up a little hungover today, not gonna lie, from the game last night. And I've been capping this card all morning, and this is the only play I've gotten involved in. So yeah, we can get right into it.
Let's
Let
break
Wine
it down.
Time go first because he likes to go against me. He fades me, Jimmy, so I'm pretty sure he waited until I posted my bet.
I actually don't know what you're on in this spot, Cab. I haven't looked at Twitter yet.
Let's roll. 9 p.m. Eastern, we have USC Trojans 11-7, 3-4 in the Big Ten. At the Nebraska Corn Huskers 12-6, 2-5 in the Big Ten. Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska. For this one, Nebraska in the throes of a 4-game losing streak. Some have been better than others. I mean, you lose at Iowa in overtime now was 10 points, which sucked for Nebraska backers, but not covering because of overtime. And then you lose at Purdue 104-68. That was the low water mark of the season. Then they lose at home, to Rutgers 85-82. Before losing at Maryland on Sunday 69-66. No shame in that. They were 9.5-point dogs, and they played pretty well. And they had a chance to win that game. They were ahead late, fell apart. USC coming off the 84-69 loss at Wisconsin. They came back home, beat Iowa by 10, and then lost to Whiskey by 15 points, 1.5-point favorites. They turned the ball over 16 times. They couldn't get rebounds, and they were down 15 at halftime and could not make a game of it. So likely an angry Trojan squad, but this is a tricky travel situation here heading over to Nebraska. Let's take a look at the line history here. We have USC at +6 at -104. They opened up at +4.5. So there's been a real legit move towards Nebraska, 1.5 move towards the Corn Huskers. When we get to the total for this one, we have this at 143.5, juice to the over at -114. This opened up at 145.5. So this just dropped to 143.5 about an hour and 20 minutes ago. So we have a move to the under and a move to the Corn Huskers. And we are unlikely to get any cash information. We don't. But the total, 58% tickets, 50% cash on the over. Take it away for us, Wine Time. Trojans, Corn Huskers in Lincoln.
Yeah, guys, I'm on the Cornhuskers in this spot. I'm on the home team. I laid the juice. I got -6, -110. You can get that pretty sure anywhere right now. It's available at both of my books right now. Yeah, I think this home court advantage is going to be is going to really pull them away in this game. I do think Bryce Williams is most likely the best player on this court too for both teams. I do like Loudy. He kind of struggled last game, but USC, man, these guys can't stop anyone. That game against Wisconsin, they should have lost that game by like 25 points. It seemed like if you actually watched that game, they were out of that game the entire time. They had no answer, and they just couldn't stop anyone. And they're going on the road here to a tough environment in Nebraska, Lincoln, Nebraska. I like them -6 here. I think Bryce Williams is going to have a good game. I'm looking at his point props too. It's high for a reason. It's 19.5 right now. I might move on that. I do think he's going to be able to get at least 20 in this, maybe even 25. I don't think USC is going to have an answer for him, especially when he's attacking the bucket. He can drain some threes as well. He's not the best three-point shooter, but he'll take a couple of them. And I really just need him to make 1 or 2 of those. I need him to get to the free throw line, make some shots. But I like the roster of Nebraska better. They've lost 4 straight too. This is a get right spot for him at home. They're laying 6 points here. We're seeing it go up. I've seen 6.5 at some spots, but my books are at 6 right now. If it continues to go up, I'm going to like it even more. But I do think Nebraska can take care of business here at home against a USC team. I think they can beat these guys by double digits. No problem at all. So give me the Cornhuskers right here. Nebraska -6, -110.
You got it. -6, -110. There are some sharp books who have moved it to 6.5. Although not everybody agrees. Teacup Capper here, liking USC, has 6.5 and the money line. Gold Picks also on USC money line here. The Juice on the other side says Huskers lost for the first time at home since 2023. Give me the Huskers. Wish the number was 4.5, but Teacup Capper thinks USC wins this outright. Let's hear what Daby Cab has to say about this spot. Trojans, Huskers, and Lincoln.
Yeah, I think if there was a spot to try and take a dog on a money line, this would be it for me as well. I mean, talking about just rosters across the board here, Nebraska, Williams, he's great, right? But then besides him, you got Gary at 11.7. You got 3 players on this team that are averaging double digits, and 2 of them are just barely creeping over that number. Now, one thing I'll say about Nebraska is they do a good job of splitting time between their players, but still, you just don't have a ton of scores. And this is if you look statistically, you're going to say, okay, these teams are about even as far as like points per game, that they're putting up. But you look at Nebraska, right? 66 in their last game against Maryland, 68 against Purdue, 66 against UCLA. Basically, how many points Nebraska comes down to how the other team's pace of play is. And USC's pace of play is slow. I'm just saying that right now. They play very, very slow, but they shoot the ball at a high percentage, which is, that's an interesting thing to see, a team that, moves the ball down the court so slow, but shooting at 48.4%. I do think, I wouldn't take the money line in this spot. I'm going to take the 6.5 with USC. I just think this game's going to come down to a bucket or 2 at the end of the game. Just based on the fact that it's going to be a slow scoring game. Maybe the under would be a look also, but I don't think there's going to be a ton of points put up by either team. And if that's the case, I think it comes down within 6.5.
Yeah, very interesting too, Cab. I mean, Jim talked on about it. It opened up at 145. It's dropping, and these defenses are pretty bad, man. So it tells me maybe they're going to play a little bit slower of a pace of the game. It's going to get slowed down, and this might go under. I like where Troy's going on that. Haven't bet that yet, but I might. If it continues to go down, man, I might kick myself for not getting it right now, but definitely leaning towards the under in this spot too. Both teams need to win this game for their conference. I mean, I don't think either of these teams are really going to get a shot in March Madness. Maybe one of them does, but it's still early in the season. They got to start winning. This is a get right spot, I think, for Nebraska, but both these teams need to win. And so, yeah, maybe defense will be emphasized a little bit more in this game because it hasn't the last couple games for either of these teams. But I definitely lean towards the under as well.
I tell you what, too, Zoe in the chat talking about the crowd, and I've seen some people talking about the crowd. Wins are not transitional. I'm always going to say that before I say something like this. USC did just pick up a big win on the road at Illinois, though. Tough crowd there. I'm not saying that Nebraska's easier or anything. Again, not transitional, but this team's been on the road, so they've been there, done it. They've had other losses on the road that looked ugly. I'm just saying that was a good road win for them.
The boys facing off here. Daby Cab on USC plus 6.5. Wine time on Nebraska -6 at -110. Obviously, I find that market move towards Nebraska appealing. I want to see what's going on with the cash flow, but it is very important. Now we have Ron Crawford on USC. We talked about other cappers on USC. Now our guy Rod Zawacki says 49% field goal in the last 5 games defensively for Nebraska, and USC shooting 50% last 5 and 49.6 in the conference. Rod Zawacki on USC. I find a team on a 4-game losing streak this big of a favorite appealing, but I can understand and with the thought process on the other side, I'm going to take a little bit more time on it. We have wine time on Nebraska -6, Daby Cab on USC plus 6.5, Daby Cab on Texas A&M first half +2, Phelps over 1.5 threes, and Daby Cab on Kansas first half -3. Thank you, fellas, so much. So Daby Cab will be dropping best bets in college basketball from Tuesday through Friday now. So 4 days a week. He can pop on anytime he wants to attack the board. We'll see if he can get back to that 60% that he delivered last year. And we'll see if our guy Weinheim can follow through after that spectacular college basketball or college football season. Weinheim, do you have any looks? Are you going to be joining Brizzy and I on any spots in NBA?
I believe so. I'm still going over the card right now. I think I'm going to for sure, excuse me, join in on you guys with the Rockets Cavaliers game. Love that spot. So that game for sure. There might be one more I might add in there too. I'm still looking over a couple things right now.
Okay, pop it in the private chat so I know which ones to bring you on for wine time, my man. I will see you shortly. Daby Cab, thank you for your hard work, my friend.
You want something real quick in
sure.
NBA, Jimmy?
Yeah, or do you want to come back in a game and cap with us?
Can I just throw? Because I'm not. You don't want to hear my breakdown on sides, but I will give you props that will cash in the NBA, especially threes props, specifically Ann Edwards. Okay, he's still at 3.5, and anybody that rolls with me or shows up to the shows, they know what I've been doing with Ann Edwards. He's sitting at 3.5. He didn't get it last game against Memphis, but he cashed for me 4 games in a row that I bet it. And I gave it out on shows. So 4-1 the last 4 times. He's at 3.5 at -105. Give me Ann Edwards over 3.5 threes again. That's going to cash.
Over 3.5 threes at -105. Daby Cab, thank you for your hard work, my friend. I will be in touch, and we'll be back on screen together tomorrow. There is Daby Cab. We got our guy Conor Mac back in business. This is all worked here. C-Mac, thank you for coming back and joining us. We have 2 monster games still to come and 2 spots where we have our cappers in the chat all over. So let's roll. 9 p.m. Eastern, we have the Georgia Bulldogs 14-4, 2-3 in the SEC at the Arkansas Razorbacks 11-7, but yet to win in the SEC, Bud Walton Arena in Fayetteville. This team has got to step up here so badly. So we have a best bet from BJ on Arkansas money line, and we have Stacks play of the day number 2. Stacks play of the day number. Oh no, that's in the Nevada game. I did screw that up. My bad. So Stacks play of the day number 2 was Nevada plus 6.5. I did screw that up. For some reason I thought that was Arkansas too, but I guess it was a BJ spot. So wow. Okay, so that means I need to spend a little more time on Utah State if Stacks is number 2 is on Nevada. Okay. All right. Let's roll here, C-Mac. Let's set up the line history and the cash flow and see what the plan is for C-Mac in these final 2 games before we get into the association here. We'll start with the spread. We have a move towards the Bulldogs. Georgia opened up when on the plus 2.5 everywhere. Is opened up plus 2.5, 7:30 p.m. last night. It opened up at 2.5 at 3 in the afternoon. Then it moved to 2 at 10:48 p.m. Then we moved to 1 this morning, and this one is juiced. I think we'll probably get a better idea of what's happened with this line if we go to the money line. So why don't we head over to the money line here? We have here we go. We have Arkansas right now. This is a pick 'em -108 at each side, but Arkansas opened up at -124, so 16 cents of movement towards Georgia. And Georgia had gone from dog to favorite. It's come back a few cents, but they still opened up at +106, and now it's -108. We are unlikely to get any cash flow information. We do have 74% of tickets, 75% cash on the under. And then let's quickly set up the rest situation and hear what C-Mac has to say about the spot. So 9 p.m. Eastern, we have move over here. Can Arkansas win their first game in the SEC? Losers, but they haven't been bad. They lose 73-66 at home to Ole Miss. They lose 71-63 at home to Florida. The last 2 games have been on the road. They lost badly at Missouri last out, 83-65. But Georgia's lost 2 straight as well. They lost badly at Tennessee, 74-56, before barely losing to Auburn at home, 70-68. I think it's imperative for us to go over Georgia's true road games here because there's only 3 this year of true road games that they played thus far. The first one was really early in the year at Georgia Tech, November 15th. They won 77-69, but the last 2 have not been pretty. losing 63-51 on January 4th at Ole Miss, and then losing 74-56 a week ago on Wednesday the 15th. They were 12.5-point dogs, and they were up at halftime, and then they got demolished by 19 in the second half, losing the game by 18. Take it away for us, C-Mac. Georgia Bulldogs, Arkansas Razorbacks, Bud Walton Arena.
Yeah, just to touch on real quick, I tried to message you. I had a bet on that Nebraska game. I'm on Nebraska, -6, -110. So just put that down for me.
Okay, shit, my bad.
Try to get a hold of you.
My bad.
Yeah, it's all good. Let's get to Georgia, Arkansas here. Man, when I see these two teams, it's been ugly basketball, especially for Arkansas and Calipari. Not very good. Is this a game where they step up? Boogie Flan, the guard's out. His hands messed up. That's 15 points a game. So player being out is just kind of the step up where they desperately need to get a home win. Man, it's just been tough to back them, even with the short numbers here at home. They haven't been able to get it done consistently. Like, this is, I think, a gettable game against Georgia. Georgia, one thing with them, they need to slow it down. They try to play as the most defense as they can. I don't believe in these two teams scoring. Now, if they get together, I'll take my shot with them having a great shooting night, but I really like this under 141. I know it's moving a little bit. If you could get me that. I don't trust these two teams at all. This Georgia team hasn't been able to break 60 a ton on the road. And if they do, their defense has come to play at certain times. Look at the Ole Miss game and others. So this was one of my favorite looks on the card is the under here, 141.
You were right. It is moving. We can get you 140.5.
Yeah, give me the best. 140.5.
We can get you 140.5. The sharpest books are moving this to 139.5.
Yeah, get it to me.
Under 140.5 for CMAC here. Under 140.5. You are in business here for Georgia, Arkansas. Lex Steele in the house. Rod Swag says, bet over the total Nebraska games versus poor pressure defensive teams. We have the overs record since 2024 is 14-3. We have Lex Steele in the house. Great to see you. Mike Wilkerson moving on Syracuse first half as well. Rick J in the house. Rick J giving you a loser on your birthday ate at me. It stung. It still stings. Sucks. I hate that I didn't deliver for you, man. I was so bad on MLK Day, and I got a lot of it back yesterday, but there's no excuse. So I really, it just fucking ate at me. Hope you had a great birthday despite me handing you a fucking loser. Let's roll on. 11 p.m. Eastern. This is the final college basketball spot on the board. We do have action from Billy Friedrich and from Morgan Spooner here that I do want to discuss. Not of these marquee games, but I want to discuss it just before. We also have Clark Edge, best bet. But here we have the Hurricanes, Stanford Cardinal, Maples Pavilion in Stanford, California. Arena I've been to. The campus I've been to. I had a cousin there when I was younger, and I used to go quite a bit. Hurricanes 0-7 in the ACC. We just talked about a Razorback squad that's 0-5 in the SEC. Now we have a Hurricane squad that's 4-14. Just an absolute debacle. And we have Ron Crawford. Ron Crawford, NCAA play of the day, is in business. He is on the Hurricanes of Miami. Shout out to our guy, Mr. Ron Crawford. Ron Crawford! Let's roll here. We'll start with the line history. I love these 11 p.m. Eastern starts, so we can just, for me, I just listen to it while I'm capping, but I like these late games. We've had a move to the under, a real distinct one. This opened up at 154.5 from the offshores that brought it out at 2 or 3 p.m. For the ones that opened it at around 7:30 p.m., it opened at 153.5. Still, we're at 151 right now. Mostly are 151.5. This is minus 121 to the over. So we'll call it a 151.5. We'll say this has dropped 2 points here, but we know it's really dropped 3 points at the books that brought it out first. On the spread here for our final college basketball game of the day, we have Stanford minus 10.5 and minus 114. They opened up at minus 11. So it dropped to 10.5 and then to 10. And then it came back to 11, dropped to 10.5 about an hour ago. So we have a half-point move towards the Hurricanes. We're not going to be getting any cash flow information, sadly. Hopefully all of this comes soon. We do have 56% of tickets and 60% of cash on the under, and we're watching it move towards the under. Hopefully we can get more information from these books in a little bit. It sucks not getting enough here. But we are getting some, though. Some's coming up now that we didn't have before. Baylor is 50% of the tickets and 93% of the cash on them. That's telling. But we're not getting enough of that information. So let's move on to the X's and O's, or the rest, and we'll let, of course, CMAC handle these X's and O's here. We have the Hurricanes in the throes of a major losing streak. Stanford lost at Wake Forest and bounced back of it with a 72-71 win at North Carolina. That was on Saturday. They fly back home for this. Now, we saw them take out both Virginia Tech and Virginia by margin, and they're asking for more margin here. The Hurricanes are coming off an absolute debacle. I mean, they lost 117 to 74. That was on the heels of losing at Duke 89-54. I mean, you're losing by 35 there. It's not quite as bad as losing by 43 at home to SMU. I mean, these are horrific performances by the Hurricanes. Stanford coming back home, Miami having to show something. Take it away for us. Ron Crawford played the day on Miami Hurricanes. Let's see what CMAC has to say about this spot at Maples Pavilion. Stanford, take it away.
It's ugly. But I think it's just tough. When you look at the back of team that's 3-15 ATS, this poor defensively. But when you look at this game, Stanford, after the upset win over North Carolina, now they come back home feeling fucking great. And Miami, this is just the one problem I've had. The defense has just totally gone to shit. It was already bad. Like, giving up 117 to SMU is just awful. I mean, Wake, they lost by 10. Of course, they got drubbed against Duke. But I got to think, can we get them for a half here? Jimmy, like, I was looking at them first half to stay in this game a little bit. As the game goes on, too, it seems like the defense just isn't there. They haven't shot the ball well. It's just been really, really tough. And Stanford, though, feeling well, coming back here. It's just you got to back a team that hasn't covered a number in a long time. But I think it's them, because I just don't think Stanford should be laying this. And maybe we're getting a feel of just Miami of the last few years. They're not. They're very bad. Obviously Larry Nick is gone, so there's major changes coming to the basketball program, and they've been dog shit at home and on the road. But I think it's them or nothing here. Like, plug your nose here. I'm leading Miami first half.
I like it. I like the spot. I think that makes a ton of sense. Now, are we going to be covered for 16 minutes, 17 minutes? It's one of those spots. But I think this makes perfect
They've been
sense.
so awful lately, though. Going through all these games, just whew. The effort has just not been there. And the effort, hasn't been there early, too. So that's what's tough about it. You know what I mean? Okay.
I'm very interested in this first half spot. And so for me, and everybody's different, but for the spreads of plus 10 to plus 15, my first half ROI is so much higher than my full game. So much higher. So I'm very, very interested in that spot, and I think I will attack it.
Oh, yeah. My first half with 10 or more, because I took in some of these horrible teams, catching 15, shit like that in the first half. I've been very good this year. So I get it. If you think about a team, in the first half, you got to win by 18 to 20 points. Some of these numbers. It's a lot, even against a bad basketball team for one half.
I'm interested in joining us. By the way, the Juice says I want to hear C-Mac's take on the Gators game tonight. We got it. South Carolina plus 12 And
I haven't moved on it though. Yeah,
Oh, is that not official?
Yeah, I haven't moved on it yet.
Okay. So
I wanted to look at just a little bit more. I thought it might go up. It stayed. Florida's just been so good on the glass. So yeah, that was just remember the weight I wanted to see on that one.
Yeah, let's see if there's been any.
They're talking about
move on that.
It's gone down
here. Because I like that look. I thought
I like the under, which I know is 2. I wanted to look at a little bit more. It's come back 11.5 most places. Superbook's hanging at 12.
Yeah, no, it has.
And we're up to 147.5 too.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to need this is great though. I've got everything I need to have a beautiful college basketball card here. I just want to go over some action from cappers in the chat because these are more games I'll be going over. Spoon, so Spoon Dog, Morgan Spooner, he's on Fordham plus 9.5, Temple plus 9.5, Loyola Maryland money line, Milwaukee plus 1.5, Temple money line 2, and Fordham money line as well. We watched them cash that Rutgers money line last Thursday. So here, I'm going to pop, again, Morgan's action here in the chat. We got the respect play today. Houston minus 12 first half. Jermaine doing a North Philly special with LaSalle and Temple together. DC Capper says Syracuse plus 8.5 first half. Says we're going to win the first half outright. Says don't leave money on the table. I won't let you down. Easy first half winner. I'm going to go over Billy's action in a second, but let's talk about what happened here. We have the lean towards Carolina plus 12. I'm very interested in the spot there. I'm going to move on Xavier. I'm going to move on Boise State. I just may have to double up on it, and I wonder if I have the confidence to do that. Baylor first half was my plan, but MMA Locker Room coming in saying Baylor ain't Baylor. And my K-State covers. I have some interest in the Golden Bears. Now, Stacks play today number 2 is Nevada, which is going to give me some pause because I was planning on Utah State first half and full game banger, but gonna have to look at that again. CMAC moves on the under 140.5 in Georgia, Arkansas. NCAA best bet for BJ's Arkansas money line. I have interest in Miami first half. NCAA play today from Ron Crawford is Miami there, and the pig milk play today is American, Chicago, Illinois, and ICU, Illinois, Chicago, I should have said, and Stanford. They're all on the money line. So American, ICU, and Stanford, all on the money line, is plus 135. That's a plus 135. So that's a big milk play today. Clark Edge gave us Youngstown State at minus 2.5. Then Daby Cab on Kansas first half minus 3. He's on Texas A&M first half plus 2 and Phelps over 1.5 threes. Then we have Daby Cab on USC plus 6.5, while Wine Time and CMAC are both on Nebraska minus 6. That is our college basketball breakdowns for Wednesday, January 22nd. Yeah, my man.
Let me give you my the Xavier. I'm moving on it. Plus 7.5, minus 108. And I'm doubling. I want this under as well. 148.5.
And under
minus 110, I think is the best number we can get.
148.5 at minus 110. Let me.
And I have one more.
Oh, beautiful.
It was a late for me. I actually had 2, but I need to look at this Radford game a little bit more. I like this over. But yeah, I forgot to mention it. Was it Spoon? I'm on Fordham here, plus 9.5. I love how this team's been playing lately. And Loyal, they've looked a little better dealing with all these injuries. I did not trust them playing double digits, basically. So that was one I already took this morning that was a little late right before the show. So add that for me.
Oh, that's great. I can do that for sure. And then I'll have lots of fodder for additions for myself. So we have Spoondog and CMAC both on Fordham a plus 9.5. I can't find that spot here. What time's that game pop off?
8 Eastern.
There it is. Yes. There's plus 9.5s right across the board here. I wonder if I could find Less big I can. Plus 9.5 and minus 105.
Beautiful.
Plus 9.5 minus 105 for CMAC. Locked and loaded. Great stuff. And Mike Wilkerson looking at Syracuse first half money line. Robert Franklin looking at Green Bay plus 1.5. And spreadsheet does like Fordham as well. And the juice is on Radford. Great stuff. Great stuff, CMAC. I look forward to this very, very much each week. And now we get 2 days a week to work together. It's been very successful thus far. So thank you for all your hard work and your angles. If you're going to add anything, please let me know and we will add it to your record. You can catch CMAC with me on Wednesdays and Fridays. And of course, he is the star of the Hitting the Books YouTube channel as well as Pub Sports Radio. Please support him on X. I'm going to pop his X handle here in the chat. Please support our guy, CMAC. CMAC, any last words for the Capper Sport and Show?
Shout out to the chat. Appreciate all you guys, as always. Let's get it. Let's have a fucking big night, college basketball. I need it. Come on.
Let's go. And Spoons Bet says you have to know Fordham just suspended their head coach. This is Trey Woodall's first shot here. Great stuff. Going to be fun. Very, very fun. All right, CMAC delivering the goods, as was Daby Cab and Wine Time Sports. It's time to talk NBA. I have a rich history capping NBA with your next guest, and I haven't had the opportunity to do it enough this year. We've got a couple spots where we have attacked the board here. This is another capper where I'm behind on his record keeping, but I have the information now. So next week when you join us, everything will be clear so we can have accountability on our shows, which is the one thing that we promise. That's the one lock here. Is that we will be honest and accountable with our action while not selling you anything. We just want to win together. Now, if you want to open up a book through one of our links that helps the channel, we get a bonus, but we do not get 1 cent for anybody's losses. There's a lot of companies out there, and I won't say their names, but there's a ton of them that make money off their own fans and friends losing. We're not one of them. We want you to crush these books more than anything. Let's get to work here in NBA. I'm running real nice, and I know why. Now I'm going to be adding Wednesday action and Tuesday action, which we'll see how that handles my record and my cash flow. Please welcome from South Jersey, one of the stars of our #1 show on our channel, the Locker Room Talk podcast. Please welcome from South Jersey, Billy Brisbane, to the program. Brizzy, what's good, man? How are you?
What up? What up? Feeling good. Trying to roll in here and get a nice little streak going into the weekend here.
Let's do exactly that. I'm excited. NBA is been rolling nice for me. And I'm ready to start hitting a little harder. Now, as you guys know, a lot of us been capping NBA for a long time. And it's the one sport where I'm like, I know I can do better. I know I can do better. I know I can do better. Every year I'm like, I can do better. And I've tried to cut totals entirely. I've tried to cut player props entirely. Now, when there is a very intense game, that's the only time I'm going to look for unders. That's it. I just don't feel like I have an advantage against these advanced models when it comes to totals. If there's an advantage I have, and I don't know if you have one, I don't know if any of us have one, but I believe that if I have an advantage, it's situationally. It's breaking things down situationally, and that's what I'm trying to hammer now. Now, I told Troy, I'm like, Troy, look, I got 12.25% ROI. And how many bets have you made? Right away. That's the first thing. And that's a valid question. That's a valid question because I'm only 39.28. There's a reason when somebody has a double-digit ROI, if they're being honest with their action, the first thing you have to ask is, and so my sample size is small. I want more money. Gerald Jones says, how many spots get paid in the confidence pool? Gerald Jones, for us, we're always going to be this way. Top 10% for all our pools. It will always be that. It will never change. You guys will always know top 10% will get paid. Let's get to work, my friend. And we start with Ron Crawford's NBA play of the day being these Detroit Pistons. We also have the Sweaty Butcher giving us his action as well, which I've copied and pasted, both the Surf and Turf and the Prime Cut. But we start 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Detroit Pistons 22-21, 12-10 on the road. The Atlanta Hawks 22-20, 11-7 at home. We have Oh, and we have a Wine Time Sports joining us, so we will be a three-headed monster here for Pistons Hawks. He's also joining us for the Cavs game. So without further ado, please welcome our guy, Los Angeles, California's Wine Time Sports. How are you, my man?
Jimmy in the bag. Good to be with you again, Billy B. Good to see you, my bro. Yeah, hopping in for a couple games with you guys today. Yeah, and I got something in this one, so I'm ready to get to it with you guys.
Let's get to it.
Wizards didn't come through for us last night. I had a nice little same game parlay. I thought they were going to push it at the end. Shouts to Bilal Koulibaly, though, man. He had a really good game last night, though.
Yeah, Billy. I mean, guys, I don't know if you watched that game. I've never seen a team play so horrible, miss so many open shots at the rim from 3-point range. They were like, that looked like a G League team out there, guys. That was bad. Lakers should have won 50.
Fucking alley-oop, dude. I was about to fucking lose it, dude. I was like, what are they doing, man? That should have been a backdoor cover all day, man. It was right there on the table, bro.
Yeah.
A couple bad shots at the end. That was the only spot that I really lost last night off of.
You should see the seats Wine Time had too. I mean, it just looks like heaven, you know. But let's roll, fellas. We got a huge NBA card. We start 7:30 p.m. Eastern with the Pistons Hawks, State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's start with the line history here. These Detroit Pistons +3, -104. They opened +2.5 at even money. So we've had a half-point move towards the Atlanta Hawks. Let's get to the total here. We have a 234 at a pick'em. This opened up at 235. It got up to 236 before it started dropping. It dropped all the way down to 233.5 before it bounced back up to 235. Now we have a 234 flat. So we have dropped 1 point. So we have a half-point move towards Atlanta. We have a 1-point move towards the under. Let's take a look at the cash flow and see if it correlates. 69% of the tickets, 70% of the cash on Atlanta. So half-point move towards them. Makes sense. 75% of the tickets, 68% cash on the over, and we've dropped a point to the under. That's interesting. And Turnsy, big boy bet with me on the Devils -1. Fucking love it. It's my favorite spot on the board. So Detroit 3-2 over the past 5, playing at the 8th fastest pace in the association, 100.6 possessions a game. And they're shooting the ball very well, 47.2% from the field and 38% from 3. Cade Cunningham obviously putting the scores on this team in the best positions to cash. And their shooting statistics have climbed very, very quickly. Let's take a look at the latest from the shoot-arounds to see if there's any information that we didn't have last night. I do have the injuries that we had last night, but let's just see if there's any more information. We know Ivy done for the year. The question here, we have, Rich Sachet out, Nance out.
No, the question to Jalen Johnson, is he going to play or not play? Because that's the deciding factor of everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's being cleared to play the last 2 games. Listed as questionable right now.
He fucked up his shoulder, so it's like if you're listed questionable and you just came back from a shoulder injury, you hurt your shoulder in the last game. It's like he's a legit questionable. Like, I don't know if he's going to play or not.
A legit questionable. Trae Young, though, is probable. DC Capper on the Hawks -2.5. Ricky Bobby on Okongwu over 12.5 points. So Atlanta 3-2 over the past 5. Not playing at a very fast pace. 100.31 possessions a game. That's 12th fastest in the league. Shooting the ball worse than the Pistons. 45.5 from the field and 36.6 from 3. The Pistons opened up their road trip with a 107-96 win at Houston on Monday. This is a 5-game trip, and they don't play again until Saturday night in Orlando. There are a few teams here that are off until Saturday night. Now, some of them are in the strip club meccas of Atlanta, like these Detroit Pistons. Detroit's lost 7 in a row in Atlanta. Last one here, January 18th, 2020. Cade's been an absolute monster this year. 24.5 points, 6.5 boards, and 9.3 assists. Hawks had their 3-game winning streak snapped to 119-110 loss to the Knicks on Monday. This is a team turning the ball over 16.1 times a game. They turned the ball over 23 times against the Knicks. Trae Young leading the NBA with 11.7 assists per game. He looked great in the first half and then no-showed in the second half. 18 points in the first half and then no-showed in the second half. Rich Sachet's been out now for 3 games. He's going to be out for at least another week. And this is the first of a home back-to-back. So Atlanta hosts the Toronto Raptors tomorrow night. We'll start with Wine Time Sports, as he's got 2 games with us. Take it away, Wine Time. Pistons, Hawks.
Yeah, I'm going to take the plus money here with the Detroit Pistons plus 125 on the money line right now. I know the line's kind of moving, went to a 3 right now for favor of Atlanta, and more of the tickets and money are coming in. I just like the way the Pistons are playing ball right now. They're playing together. You saw how stoked they were after that win last game. Hawks coming off a loss, against in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks, their rival. I like this Pistons roster, man. I like their starting 5. I like what Cade Cunningham's doing, dude. I like Tobias Harris at times as well. Tim Hardaway Jr., he's hit or miss from the 3, man. You need him to knock down that 3 ball. But Thompson playing good defense. Durant's a pretty good center. I like this Pistons team. I like them more than the Hawks here. And I'm not sure if Jalen Johnson is playing in this. I think he's probable now. Yeah, him and Trae Young are both probable.
He's listed as probable now because I just saw that he was still questionable.
I might be behind. I'm using Action. Yeah, that's not updated to today, actually. Apologies for that. But yeah, I'm going to take the Pistons in this spot. I think they're going to get them out right here. I'm going to get plus money with them on the road here. They're playing good ball. I know they're coming off a big win and they've been playing some good basketball. But I just think they're going to continue to do so. So yeah, give me the Detroit Pistons here on the money line plus 125.
We can get you a plus 134. Have you tweeted that out?
I have not tweeted anything out.
We'll give you that plus 134 offshore. Chosen One finding a plus 124 on DraftKings. Pistons at plus 134 for Wine Time Sports. Let's hear what our guy Brizzy has to say about Pistons Hawks. State Farm Arena. Take it away, Brizzy.
Yeah, I mean, Cade's just been on a tear right now for the Pistons. I mean, that MLK Day in Houston was a really good win for them. They first met earlier in November. It was kind of like a nail biter towards the end. It was a very high scoring game, and then Cade Cunningham kind of hit the game winning shot. I think Atlanta is going to want to try to bounce back here. I mean, they had their 3-game win streak snapped on Monday. But this really comes down to the Jalen Johnson injury news report. I mean, Atlanta's given up 113.6 points per game in their last 5. They have the worst 3-point defense in the NBA. So I can see why people like Detroit. Detroit's 110 points per game in their last 3. I feel like Okongwu is really the piece that I see a lot of people in the chat are talking about it. He's kind of got inserted into a starting lineup. Clint Capella is kind of probably going to get traded in the next couple of weeks. And he's been kind of like the big difference. We've been talking about it jokingly, but seriously about how the Ball brothers have been benefiting from the Tweaker song. We got to talk about the former Chino Hills starting center as well, Cheke Okongwu, who was on that team as well. He's really been a big difference for the Atlanta Hawks here since entering the starting lineup. He's gone over his point prop in each of his last 5 games, and he's gone over his point prop in 8 out of his last 10 games versus Detroit, 24th ranked versus centers down low. If Jalen Johnson's out, I really like that Okongwu prop even more. And if he's in, I would probably lean towards the Atlanta team total over 118.5 minus 110. But if he's out, then I think the bet could just be the under on this game. This is a very high total, and then you see it kind of dropping a little bit from 235 down to 233.5. So that would be like where I'm leaning right now is Atlanta team total over if Jalen Johnson's in. If he's out, then I like the full game over, and then the Okongwu prop even more. I think the Okongwu prop hits either way. Even if you want to kind of eliminate the juice, over 2.5 points in the first quarter is at like plus 102. That's a nice little plus money spot if you want to get in, get out, kind of go like a quarter unit on the first quarter and then go half unit on the player prop. That's another way to kind of attack it. But this one's still circled. I got to see what's up with this Jalen Johnson injury.
I like it. It's a great breakdown. By the way, Rod Zawacki backing our action here on the Devils. We're both on the Devils. And then you heard Turnsy come in, going to bet heavy on the Devils. It's my only bet. I like that bet so much that there's nothing else on the ice for me tonight. Although it's just a 1 unit. I now looking back at it, I wish I had have added to it, but it's what it is. And I beat the line move, so I'm probably not going to now. But Rod Swag saying bet against Boston versus teams that outscore their opponents on the year. Devils average 3 goals a game and only allowing 2.6 a game. Devils minus 2.5 at plus 210. Yeah, I've got the surf and turf, Justin, my man, but good looking out. Surf and turf, the first half of the surf and turf is the Atlanta Hawks money line. And we'll get into the second half of the surf and turf here in a second. So that is Pistons money line for Wine Time Sports. And Wine Time will be back with us for Cavaliers Rockets. So we'll be here in a second. Wine Time. We'll catch you in a second, my man. Let's roll on the next spot on the board. Brizzy, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. The Phoenix Suns 21-21, 8-13 on the road. Brooklyn Nets 14-30, 5-13 at home. Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. So I need 12 wins from the Brooklyn Nets. Their season win total has dropped. Well, it's not 25.5 anymore after, trading Schroeder. Now, they have, picked up D'Angelo Russell to fortify a little bit. But I expect to lose the Nets team total over at this point. But I am watching pretty closely. We're the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. These Nets 5-13 at home. Suns 8-13 away. I have no problem with how KD's handled himself, in Phoenix. Everything he said about his time in Brooklyn. I have no problem with how he's handled himself at all. He said, quote unquote, I look forward to playing them again, talking about the Brooklyn Nets. We lost to them the first time playing them. We want to see them and get a W. End the road trip off right. The last game of the road trip's generally not a spot really I want to back teams. BJ says Suns blowout. That was the first thing I thought of looking at this. Well, Suns are going to smash and grab, especially after, Brooklyn played last night here. Now it is the home and a home back-to-back, so it's not as tough, but they were right in that game. They lose 99-95 to the Knicks in a rivalry spot. They've lost 8 straight home games, held under 100 points for the 12th time, shot 37.2% from the field, which is their second lowest shooting percentage of the season. And D'Angelo Russell and Cameron Johnson combined to go 12 of 37 from the field. The problem is when I looked at the 11, I was like, well, that sounds about right. Am I going to, and I looked at the first half. I'm like, am I really, because I've taken the Suns on a -6 line off a couple losses and covered by the hair of a taint, by the tiniest of margins. Like it was a sweat the whole time, never comfortable. The 11.5 is now a 12.5. I mean, this line's moving towards the Suns. It's a clear smash and grab situation, but I wasn't comfortable with the 11.5, and now we have 12.5. We'll hear what Brizzy has to say about the spot. Did you want to jump in quick?
Yeah, I'm going to be really quick with this one. This feels like a spot where the public kind of saw what the Nets did last night in the national TV spot, and I kind of think the line's too wide, but coming off a heartbreaker loss versus the Knicks last night, now in the second half of a back-to-back, Phoenix comes into this game, the last game of the East Coast road trip, with the rest spot advantage. I mean, they looked a lot better since addressing their personnel issues with Nick Richards' trade. Back to point, Booker here. I think this game is a dead under. This opened up at 228.5, under 218.5 currently right now. Brooklyn Nets team total under would be the only way I would look in this one, under 103.5. I don't think they crack 100 points in this one.
I mean, it'll make sense. Thomas out, D'Angelo Russell out. Then
Zaire Williams, D'Angelo Russell, Ben Simmons, Cam Johnson. I mean, they're basically starting their G League team of Noah Clowney, Jalen Wilson, Tyreek Martin, and then Keon Johnson's probably going to take the most amount of shots tonight in the offense.
Yeah, Keon's going to be at the 2, Clowney at the 4. I mean, it's just horrific. So Simmons is being dropped to doubtful. Cameron Johnson dropped to doubtful. The other guys are out.
Moving, man. Fernando says he's at 101.5 minus 124. I have 103.5 at minus 115. Now put that down, like maybe.
You want that?
No. I'm
okay. All right. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this spot here. 51% of the ticket, 60% of cash on the Suns, which would lead you to believe that the market move towards the Suns is more based on player personnel rather than necessarily sharp action. 82% of the ticket, 73% of the cash on the over. Phoenix 3-2 over their past 5, playing at the 5th fastest pace in the NBA over that stanza, 101.2 possessions a game, shooting 49.6 from the field and 39.4 from 3. We don't even need to go over Brooklyn's numbers over the past 5 games because this is clearly, a makeshift number. Suns are 9-13 in their past 22 games. Yeah, they're coming off an ugly loss at Cleveland on Monday, 118-92, which would make you think that they're ready to go. But still, it's uncomfortable backing them. Nurkic, of course, out. Nick Richards at center. Bradley Beal listed as questionable. He did play 25 minutes on Monday, so I don't see why he wouldn't be able to go back in. And did you saying all these guys are out? The line makes sense, I guess, and I agree with that. Sweaty Butcher says away favorites on the last game of 5-game road trip are 1-9 against spread last 10. That goes right to my thought process as well. Sweaty Butcher. I never really want teams on the last game of a road trip unless they've lost the first 4 of them, let's say, and then they need to get the win before they go home. Rod's Wacky says bet against underdogs of 6 or more points versus the first half line after 2 more consecutive losses. A tired team playing 8 or more games in 14 days. The 20-star play of the day is the Suns' first half at -6.5. That makes a ton of sense. Rod, that makes a ton of sense here. So, all right, let's move past this one. Pretty ugly situation. Let's roll on. Next up, we have 7:30 p.m. Eastern action. Minnesota Timberwolves 22-21, 12-11 on the road. At the Dallas Mavericks 23-20, 13-8 at home. We're at American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Let's get into the line history here for this one. Both teams playing underwhelming basketball. You have an excuse for the Mavericks. There's no excuse for Gobert going for 2 points and 2 boards. We have right now Dallas +3 with no Vig. This opened up with the Timberwolves -2 at -101, and now they're -3 at -109. So we've had a point and Vig towards Minnesota. But you had to think that when this line came out, it was at a number where they knew they were going to get a ton of love from Minnesota. Now we'll take a look at the cash flow. The total here is 215.5, juice to the under. This opened up at 217. And it's dropped down to 215.5, and it's juice to the under. So we've had a 1.5 move towards the under with juice. Then cash flow wise, 30% of the tickets on the Mavericks and 41% of the cash. So Timberwolves have 70 and 59. Now, if you're already on the Timberwolves, the line's moving towards them, and you have every right to have confidence. The Sweaty Butcher Surf and Turf play today is the Hawks money line, parlayed with the Timberwolves money line at +182. Cab is giving us Edwards over 3.5 threes at -105. So we have cappers moving on this game. Minnesota 2-3 over the past 5, playing at the 23rd fastest pace in the NBA, 96.2 possessions a game. They're not shooting the ball that well from the field, 46.4, but 42.1% from 3 over that 5 games. Imagine you're shooting 42.1% from 3 and you win 2 of those 5 games with the star-studded lineup of the Timberwolves. Mavericks are 1-4 over the past 5, playing the 18th fastest pace, 98.4 possessions a game, shooting 44.6 from the field and 31.6 from 3, shooting very poorly from 3. Minnesota comes in off its second straight loss in 3rd and 4 games, 108-106 at Memphis on Monday. 4 points and 4 boards for Gobert. What a bum. This is their 4th game in 6 nights. Kind of a tricky spot to back them. DiVincenzo out indefinitely with the left toe sprain. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the Canadian, and Dillingham, they need to step up for this team right now. They're not doing a lot of that. We have right now a real ugly injury report. As you guys know, Lively's going to be out for an extended period of time. You have Luka out for an extended period of time. Klay Thompson listed as questionable here. He's been pretty good this year. He's only missed 5 games, so but this could be one that he sits out. Najee Marshall is sick right now, so we'll see if that's going through anybody else in the locker room. And then Quentin Grimes also listed as questionable. He missed Monday's game with back spasms. Will he be able to play here? It's a pretty ugly situation, as the NBA seems to be over and over and over again. It's a pretty ugly situation. So let's just touch on Dallas coming off their 4th loss in 5 games. By the way, Ant scored at least 28 in 5 straight. Dallas comes in off their 4th loss in 5 games, 110-105 at Charlotte on Monday. Kyrie went for 33. Gafford goes for a career high 31, 15, and 3 with 7 blocks. And it's not enough. 12 of 15 from the field, 7 of 7 from the foul line for Gafford. Take it away for us here, Brizzy. Wolves, Mavericks.
Yeah, my quick little story on this one, Christmas Day rematch. Brother came up for Christmas Day, and one of the gifts that I gave him was he was basically asking me, what am I on for the NBA that day? And I said, the answer will be within inside of your gift. And he opened up the gift, and it was Anthony Edwards shirt that I got him for Christmas. And, man, they rolled in that spot, man. They're up by like 30-something points in that game. Anthony Edwards is going off, and then they kind of just – this has kind of been like the theme of Minnesota the whole entire year. They just let these teams kind of like backdoor cover their way back into these games. Not that good of a team in crunch time. And that's kind of a problem that they had last year as well, is fourth quarter scoring. I feel like this is a Christmas Day rematch where Luka originally got hurt and Minnesota kind of blew them out on their home floor. And since then, the Mavericks have kind of struggled entering into this one, losing 4 of their last 5, 3-7 straight up, 2-8 ATS in their last 10 games. Kyrie kind of led their comeback in their last game, but their offense kind of dried out in the end in crunch time. So both of these teams haven't really been that good in crunch time. Anthony Edwards has been great. Like you said, 28 points straight in 5 straight games. They split this season series so far. I kind of want to lean towards Dallas back and back in their home floor, but I don't know, man. Their form has just been way too hard to ignore of recent, and then the sickness in the locker room. I feel like Nas Reed has been a huge essential part for Minnesota in the new year. He's had 9 straight games with double-digit points, averaging 17.9 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, with an over 50% field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. He's been on one in the new year. His point prop tonight is over 13.5, minus 136. He's gone over his 3-point prop line in 8 out of his last 10 games. I think he has a really good matchup against the Mavericks front court. We just got news that Lively is going to be out for the next 2 to 3 months. It's going to leave Gafford kind of down the low by himself. We saw on MLK Day, Gafford went off against Mark Williams. Mark Williams has had a really good start to the new year, but Gafford had a really good game in that game. That could be one person to kind of look at. But I think one play that is kind of just left as like a little bit low-hanging fruit. Not a fan of the Super Boost on Bet365, but this one kind of made sense for me. Kyrie Irving, 3+ 3-pointers, and Anthony Edwards, 3+ 3-pointers. If you look at Kyrie's 3-pointer prop, or let's just talk about the matchup alone for Kyrie. While I think this game is an under game, it doesn't mean that the actual studs aren't going to just play a shitload of minutes and play good. Kyrie thrives in this matchup. He's gone over 8 out of his last 10 games versus the Timberwolves, averaging 31 points per game. He's gone over his point prop line in 10 out of his last 14 games without Luka in the game, averaging 30 points per game. Minnesota has the 3rd best defensive efficiency rating, but their biggest weakness is obviously guarding ISO guards. He's probably going to get the Jaden McDaniels assignment here, but I mean, how long are they going to be able to play Jaden McDaniels out there? I mean, they're going to have to make a decision with the Mike Conley shit, because the Mike Conley shit's costing them right now. Rob Dillingham is, for all the criticisms about Rob Dillingham since the Donda Academy days when he went over there with Kanye over there in high school, that boy knows how to put the ball in the back of the basket, man. And as of right now, the Timberwolves, you just got to put people on the court that can put the ball in the back of the basket, and they need to make a decision because Neil Alexander-Walker has looked terrible. I mean, they're playing Jaden McDaniels out here 35, 40 minutes, and that's killing them on offense right now. So if you're going to back Minnesota, I think you have to go first half or nothing. You can't really back them in a full game situation with their crunch time scenario. I think Dallas has an opportunity to backdoor cover this line, but those would be the 2 ways I would look for this one. But I moved on that super boost on Bet365 at plus 250. Kyrie Irving, 3+ 3-pointers, and Anthony Edwards, 3+ 3-pointers.
Edwards, 3+ 3s, and that super boost was plus 250?
Plus 250, Bet365.
All right, you are locked in, my friend. Let's roll on. I do not find the line at -2 with the way the Mavericks have been playing. The books know they're going to get a ton of Wolves money. The fact that it's moved a point would probably put a little bit less stress on me if I was on the Timberwolves, but I do not.
Minnesota. If you like Minnesota full game, I think you got to back them first half full game. I mean, if they're covering a full game, that means that they're going to have to not blow a lead for the first time. I mean, like, they're blowing. If you watch Minnesota play for at least a month and a half, they be blowing these leads at the end of the game, man. And it's like, if Minnesota's covering by margin, they're usually blowing out teams where like the starters are sitting out in crunch time minutes. But when the starters are in crunch time minutes, a lot of these teams are coming back in, man. And I don't know, man. If you like Minnesota, I would go first half.
Yeah, I do not find the spot appealing here. Rod's Wax says, but under the first half total in Dallas games in the home game where the first half total is 100.5 to 105.5. First half unders record since 2024 season 9-0. He just moved on the first half under 109. Rick J says Kyrie turns up versus Minnesota. He'll be on his threes or points as well. And we also have Rick J with Daby Cab on the Edwards over 3.5 threes. And we got our man Jose putting the link to the partners that we're rolling with here, Legal American Books, where we get a bonus if you sign up for them. And so it helps out the channel. If that interests you, it means a lot to us. Let's roll on. 8 p.m. Eastern, we have our guy Wine Time back in business for Cavaliers Houston Rockets at Toyota Center in Houston, Texas. Great to have you back, Wine Time. Let's roll, my friends. These Cavs 36-6, 15-4 on the road. What monsters. Rockets 28-14, 14-7 at home. No slouches themselves. Let's get into the line history here for this one. We'll start with the total. This total is at 229, slightly juiced to the under, but it opened up at 232. So we've seen a real big drop. There was buyback, though. It went down, came back up to 232. This was 232 this morning. But now we have the drop down to 229 flat. That last drop, the half point move to 229, happened 17 minutes ago. So a real legit 3-point move towards the under. Take a look at the point spread here for this Cavs-Rockets spot. Have the Cavaliers. Oh, sorry, that's the wrong book. We have the Cavaliers -2 at -108. They opened up at -2 at -110. It got up to -2.5, got up to -3. This was -3 all morning. Now it's come back to 2. We've come back. It's exactly where this line opened up. So let's take a look at the cash flow. This will be very meaningful, and it is. 21% of the tickets on the Rockets and 30% of cash on the Rockets. It makes the Rockets, to me, a very appealing spot. 29% of the tickets and 46% of cash on the under. Obviously, it's sharp movement towards the under. Both teams 3-2 over their past 5, playing at a very similar pace. Cleveland, 100 possessions a game. That's 13th in the league. Rockets, 100.4. That's 10th in the league. The Cavaliers are shooting worse than they've shot in some time. I've not had their numbers so low in any 5-game stanza at all this year. 44.8 from the field and 33.9 from 3 over the last 5. Rockets are shooting the ball nice. 47.7 from the field and 40.7 from 3. Kripke says when the Rockets beat the Cavs, they usually beat them by margin. That's not how this game feels. So take the Cavs, says Kripke. Again, the line, this is Houston only for me with this market and this situation. The Cavs coming off their third win in 4 games, 118-92 at home over the Suns on Monday. They won despite playing without Mobley and LeVert. Mobley with the calf injury, LeVert with the wrist injury. Let's take a look and see if those guys are going to be in right now. Mobley out and LeVert game time decision here. Questionable. And that was a real late scratch, LeVert was last week. Then, for the Rockets, the same old story. Jabari Smith out with that fractured hand. So let's take a look at this. Cavs come in, as I said, off their third win in 4 games. Donovan Mitchell went for 33. He's rolling. Rockets coming off their second loss in 3 games. Green was the player of the week. Everybody was going crazy. And then, he turns the ball over 5 times. He is 8 of 21 from the field, scores 19 points. I mean, that just happens. That just happens. And these teams meet again in Cleveland on Saturday night. And I think this is a Rockets or no bet to me here. Let's go to Wine Time. Cavaliers, Rockets at the Toyota Center. Wine Time, your plan.
Yeah, Jim, I'm right there with you. I moved on to plus the 125. It's moving right now, plus 120 at my book. Give me the best number available. Line is back to where it opened up at, even though most of the public is coming in on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. I mean, they are one of the best teams in the NBA, best team in the East right now, and they are coming off they're coming off a win. My bad. It's Rockets who are coming off a loss. Rockets coming off a loss on MLK Day. They're 8-point favorites, lost outright to the Detroit Pistons. I think they're going to come out angry. This dates back all season long, even to a little bit last year. Houston Rockets as a small dog like this, I love taking them at home. I just think it's a great situation. And looking at the market, it completely agrees with me. Only 20 out of 100 people are going to the window right now betting the Houston Rockets. I think they're going to be angry coming out here. Udoka's going to have his guys ready to go. I like this Rockets team. I think this team is going to be a good team when it comes to playoff time in a 7-game series, especially when they're playing at home. They've got a really good head coach. They've got Jalen Green. They've got some really good players over there, man. A lot of gritty players. They play defense. So I'm definitely on the Houston Rockets in this spot. Coming off a loss on MLK Day, this is going to be a big game for them here at home at the crib. Being a small dog, give me Houston Rockets at the best number available to win outright. They're going to get these guys for sure. And I will most likely be on Cleveland when they go play in Cleveland next game.
Yeah, if it works to our script, yeah, absolutely. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to join you. I don't know. I may take the points, but I'm going to
What's
join
the
you.
best number you can get me right now, Jim?
Money line, best line available all over the place, plus 120. So you're
Okay.
right.
Yeah, give me plus 120. I didn't tweet it out, so.
Let's hear what Brizzy has to say about this spot. We have wine times action in 2 money line dogs, Rockets at plus 120 and the Pistons at plus 134. Let's hear from you, Brizzy. Very, very fun cap. Cavs, Rockets.
Yeah, I think the Cavs are getting a little bit too much respect from the odds makers here due to they're the second highest covering ATS team in the NBA behind OKC, and they looked really good in their first game without Mobley and that matchup versus Phoenix, where they were just able to take advantage of that down low matchup and just get to the rim at will. This might be all the difference here for the Rockets coming off that embarrassing loss versus Detroit on MLK Day, but it was their first game back from a road trip. These two teams faced off against each other in 2 consecutive games, and I kind of see the home teams pulling out these wins. Houston has been a team that you kind of want to back at the house, 14-7 straight up, but I would kind of want to go Houston first half. If you look at for the season, both these teams are number 3 and 4 for top covering teams in the first half. But if you filter it from home and road, Cleveland's not that good on the road in the first half. They're only 8-10 in the first half in their for the season, and that's not that good compared to Houston. They're 13-8 first half at the crib. I would probably lean towards Houston first half, but I feel like with a young, feisty team coming off a disappointing loss, this could be a confidence builder game for them. But ultimately, I think I have the spot circled a little bit better for Saturday. Ideally, I want Houston to win this game and then Cleveland to come in on Saturday because this is the good thing about player props. The memory came up this week for Darius Garland's birthday. Is the 26th. So when he plays on Saturday, that game's going to be the day of his birthday at the crib. He went off against Houston last year on his birthday. If you look at for matchups on the board today, this is a top 5 matchup on the board for Darius Garland as well. Jared Allen as well. No Evan Mobley. He's gone over his line in 3 of his last 4 games without Mobley on the floor, with the only miss being against Phoenix because they blew him out. For as good as a defensive team as Houston is, they're one of the weaker pick-and-roll defenses in the NBA, allowing 19 points per game and 3.3 assists per game towards the center position. So I just kind of want to wait and see for this one, kind of see how the cards play out for Saturday.
I'm going to be joining Wine Time. This is the first spot on the board for me, Rockets. I'm going to take the bucket. I expect to. But I can completely understand with 2 bets here why Wine Time's on the money line, because you cash 1, you go 1-1, and you win. It's like how the books feel, those stunts.
Yep.
The books. Excellent work, Wine Time, my man. I would love seeing the videos and the pics from last night. You at the crypto for the Lakers game. Fucking dope, man. Thank you for rocking with us. A lot more Wine Time here. It's basketball season for us. He'll be back in action with us on Friday, capping the NBA card. I popped Wine Time's X handle in the chat. Please click it and support our friend Wine Time Sports. Wine Time, any last words for the Captain supporting the show, my man?
Yeah, appreciate you for having me on. Appreciate you, Billy, for having me as well. I love talking ball with you guys, man. And I'll see you on Friday, Jim. Follow me on X, Wine Time Sports. Looking forward to it. Let's get this cash, boys.
Let's get this cash. There he is, Wine Time Sports. We roll on 8 p.m. Eastern. We have the Charlotte Hornets 11-28, 4-15 on the road. The Memphis Grizzlies 28-15, 16-5 at home. We're at FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. Both these squads 4-1 over their past 5. Don't know if we said that about the Charlotte Hornets squad in a long time. Take a look at the line history here for Charlotte, Memphis. Sorry, I got the money line up. Let me just quickly switch to the spread. We have Memphis right now minus 12 at minus 106. Opened up at 11.5, now 12, a half-point move towards the Memphis Grizzlies. From a total perspective, we have a 241. I do see some 241.5, some 240.5. So we have a 241 here. It is juiced to the over. So we have a 2-point move towards the over. So a 2-point move towards the over, a half-point move towards Memphis. Let's take a look at the cash flow then for this spot. We have 50-50 on the ticket count, but 59% of cash on the Grizzlies. 58% ticket, 60% cash on the over. As I said, both teams 4-1 over their past 5. The Hornets playing at the 10th fastest pace in the league, 100.4 possessions a game over that time period, while the Grizzlies playing at the 4th fastest, 101.60 possessions a game. I've been saying for a few weeks now the pace of play across the league has gone way down. It's been a long time since we've seen the 4th fastest team over any period of time, only putting up 101.6 possessions a game. The Grizzlies shooting the ball real nice, 49.4 from the field and 38.3 from 3, while Charlotte just shooting 45.2 from the field and 35.2 from 3. Hornets come in off their 3rd straight win, 110-105 at home over the Mavericks on Monday. Ball's just having a monster season. He's 4th in the NBA in scoring. He went for 23, 9, and 7 against the Mavericks. Miles Bridges went for 23. Brandon Miller now out indefinitely with a torn ligament in his right wrist, so there's going to be a ton of emphasis on ball here. 48 straight games, he's hit a 3 as well. And also that 7.6 assists per game is 8th in the league, so he's doing a lot out there. He also leads the league in fourth quarter scoring average.
It's though, Jim, he's averaging 24.5 shot attempts per game. Bro, that's fucking absurd. That's only some shit that you see in like an NBA video game, dude. His player model build was the most downloaded player build for NBA 2K for the season.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's Kobe-esque. Grizzlies coming up their 3rd straight win, 108-106 at home over the Timberwolves on Monday. It was a huge comeback victory. Jaren Jackson Jr. led the Grizzlies with 24 and 11, 15 in the 4th quarter, played the entire 4th quarter. Guy's a monster. This is also game 2 of a 4-game homestand. Very, very interesting spot. Take it away for us, Brizzy. Hornets, Grizzlies.
Yeah, LaMelo's really revived the energy in Charlotte, kind of giving them the team something to build for and look forward to in the future. And it's kind of extended in their gameplay, winning 4 of their last 5. I think the biggest difference for LaMelo this year has been his relationship with Anna Montana. Anna Montana is like this model that used to fuck Benzema, the soccer player, back in the day. And she's like 15 to 20 years older than him. So I feel like he's really has matured as a player in his mental, where he's just not going off and getting lit and partying and stuff like that after games and stuff like that. And he has everybody really locked in. It's just now they're growing up against the Grizzlies in a really tough spot to pull out a win here, as Grizzlies have been really good. I mean, winning 5 of their last 7 games, averaging the most points in the NBA this year. 4-2 ATS is the last 6 games as double-digit favorites. The over is 26, 15, and 2 for Memphis this season. They've gone over 6, 3, and 1 in their last 10 games, and that's they've exceeded their point total the most this year out of anybody in the NBA for betting market purposes. With the way that Memphis plays and the way that Charlotte plays, I feel like this kind of plays straight into the hands of Memphis here. Charlotte allows the second most points in the NBA. 3-7 ATS last 10 games in Memphis. Memphis is red hot right now, 10-4 last 14 games in the month of January here. I like the Memphis team total over here. That's going to be the first play of the card for me. And then player prop wise, if you're looking for a player prop in this one, we talked a little bit about Brandon Miller being out. It's really been Nick Smith Jr. Over points and rebounds here since entering the starting lineup in the last 2 games. He's seen 26 and 30 minutes. Memphis allows the 10th most and the 3rd most catch and shoot 3-pointers and are ranked 20th versus spot up shooters. And this is a great game environment for him. 30% of his shot mixers come from transition points. And that's where the Grizzlies have their only weakness defensively. They're ranked 25th in transition scoring defense. So I like that Nick Smith Jr. Prop, or if you're playing daily fantasy, I would circle that name for this one. But one of my favorite plays of the card, or probably my favorite play of the card, is going to be this Grizzlies team total over here.
Team total over 127.5 at -102 is what I can find offshore. Can you find better?
I'm just going to take the juice -125.5, -128 at FanDuel Sportsbook.
125.5 at -128 here. You know, I think it'd be very easy to fall for Charlotte here. Winning 3 straight. You're looking at a double-digit number.
You know what this game reminds me of? Philly versus Denver last night, where you have a team that has players that are going to put up good stats on the starting lineup. And then you see the other team, they're kind of rolling here in the new year. And then the game's kind of close in the beginning, and then they kind of put the boots in the ass in the third quarter.
Yeah, it's what you see is not what you get in the association. The 12.5 is appealing to me because of the bias I have of watching the Hornets of late. Kenny Can, you're the man. Thank you for rocking with us. So I want to just leave this alone. I am, though, going to write, Hornets plus 12.5 with question marks here, which almost 9 out of 10 times means I don't move on it. I expect not to move on it, or more than 9 out of 10. Probably.
The over, I would say. If you think the Hornets are going to be the competitive in this one, this game is going way over. This is a 240.5 ain't high enough, man. I got this game projected at like 252.5. Like, this could be a dummy score at the end of the game. If you really look at the totals on this card today, a lot of these totals are really, really high, man. I think a lot of these games are going to go over on this card. I mean, you got Detroit, Atlanta above the 230s. You have Cleveland, Houston above the 230s. You had Milwaukee and New Orleans before that got taken off above the 230s. Charlotte, Memphis above the 230s. Utah, OKC is now above 230. Golden State, Sacramento above 230. I mean, the list just goes on. I think there's going to be some scoring today on this slate.
And 2-3 does think the Hornets cover. I can understand it. I don't find that appealing at this point to get to the window with it, but just because I feel like it's the same deal with the Timberwolves at -2. You look at Timberwolves at -2. Obviously, that's appealing against a Maverick squad that's beaten up. The books aren't trying to get 50-50 coverage, man. They're trying to actively beat us. And then you see a 12.5 for a team that's won 4 or 5. I just got to stay away, but I can understand. Let's roll on here. We skip Bucks Pelicanos because of the postponement. We move on to 8 p.m. Eastern. Utah Jazz 10-31, 7-16 on the road to Oklahoma City Thunder 35-7, 19-2 at home. We're at the Paycom Center in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Rodswag says bet on Houston in home games on the money line after scoring 105 points or less. Houston record since the 2024 season 16-1, so that correlates with our plan of attack in that one. Let's get into the line history. Let's also talk about the injury situation. It's very clear with Utah, Sensabaugh, Juzang, Clarkson all out. Nobody questionable. We know the starting 5, George, Sexton, Markkanen, Collins, and Kessler. For the Thunder, Chet and Hartenstein out. So Jalen Williams, Jalen, is a game time decision. He missed the Monday game. And they put Lou Dort. They start Lou Dort. What a monster Lou Dort is to be able to slide into the 4. God, this guy is just a monster. So let's talk about the spot, though. Possible Jalen Williams not being in, and then Lou having to be in the starting lineup, and then the Thunder going very small against a Jazz team that's so tall. I mean, this isn't a very good situational, X's and O's spot with the Thunder being so small. And, of course, look, the Thunder are the best defensive team, defensive rating in the NBA, so it's not like they can't handle it, but it adds another element of trickiness to the spot. Let's get into the line history here. We have this total at 230.5. It's -110 to the over. This opened up at 223. Good God. And there were books that opened this up at 223 in the afternoon yesterday. This one opened up at 10:45 p.m. at 223. And now we have a 30.5. There was a time in my career that I didn't believe that the advanced models could be that far off. So I'd see a move over 5 points and I would bet against it. In the end, the ROI was margin. It was just, it didn't, it wasn't a negative ROI, but it wasn't succeeding at the rate that I thought it would. But I do find that interesting immediately. Let's get into the line history on the side. This total now at 230.5. It did get up to 231.5. That was the high watermark. So it's come down to 230.5. It's still juiced to the over. From a point spread perspective, Oklahoma City is 16.5 point favorites at minus 107. They opened up at 17.5. I mean, it just seems like an enormous amount of points. Look, I know that the Jazz have been bad. But this is just an enormous amount of points. When we get to the cash flow here, we have, because gone. Sorry. We have 31% of the tickets and 34% of the cash on the Jazz, 84% of tickets, 86% cash on the over. Utah 1-4 over their past 5. They're playing at the 17th fastest pace in the league, 98.88 possessions a game. They're shooting the ball poorly, 44.6 from the field and 31% from 3. OKC 4-1 over the past 5, playing at 7th fastest pace, but it's not that fast, 100.8 possessions a game. They're shooting the ball beautifully, 49.2 from the field and 38.5 from 3. Jazz coming off their 6th loss in 7 games, 123-19, 119 in overtime at New Orleans on Monday. You know, Pelicans had this monster comeback. Isaiah Collier stepping up. It's nice to see. 15.5 points, 9.8 assists. Over the 4 games. He started the year doing nothing, right? First 29 games, 3.4 points, 4.1 assists, but now he's getting 34 minutes per game. It's becoming his team. Thunder coming off their 5th win in 6 games, 127-101 at home versus the Nets on Sunday. Isaiah Joe, stepping up. He's been a monster. 8 of 10 from 3. Over the last 6 games, he's averaging 15.2 points, shooting 55.9 from the field and 54.5 from 3. And this is the first of a home back-to-back. They host Dallas tomorrow night. When you have the first leg of a back-to-back, now I know there's no travel involved. They don't care about winning by margin here. Now, we have the second worst defensive team in the Jazz, defensive rating 117.8, going up against the best defensive team at 103.2. I mean, I don't know how I'm not on the Utah Jazz here. Even even a late backdoor cover because the Thunder are on the first leg of a back-to-back and they'll empty their bench is still appealing. I mean, are the Jazz devastated off of losing that lead against New Orleans on Monday? Take it away, Brizzy. Jazz, Thunder.
Yeah, even though at first glance in the NBA, you never want to lay this amount of points. I mean, damn, dude, I think OKC still covers in this spot. I mean, when they first met in the first week of December, OKC won 133-106 in Utah. Now at home, where they're 18-2 straight up, favorites of 17 points or higher in the NBA, or 34-2 straight up since the 2020 season. They have an average win margin of 14.3, which is the largest discrepancy in the NBA so far this season. I mean, Utah's just been awful in defense. Second worst defensive team in the NBA, allowing 116.1 points per 100 possessions. Now you kind of mix in with all these guys just coming back for today. I like the Oklahoma City team total over here, over 123.5 minus 120 here.
Let's get this team. Can you speak up a little bit? AOD. In the audio is just down a little bit. I could do it backstage, but be better if you do it here. Okay, so we have Thunder team total over for Brizzy. What was the number that you got?
Does it sound better now?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
There you go. My bad. I'm on the desktop. Over 123.5 minus 120.
Over 123.5 at minus 120. I'd be curious to see here what I can get you on that. We have the team total. I can get you. Yeah, that's what you got's better. Just marginally. 2-3 says, does the total moving to the under favor the Jazz to cover? I mean, simply put, yes, but that would require more study but simply put, yeah, the lower the total, the higher the spread they combine. I get why you're on this. I find the Jazz
Yeah, I think Jazz can compete, and if they're going to compete, then the OKC can't just bench everybody at the end of the game. So I think this game could definitely go. That's the reason why I like the team total over. I mean, I think OKC routs them, and usually when these teams are routed, they usually go over. I mean, me and Pete were on here yesterday, and we went over some games, and I said to him, dude, I don't have a lot on this card, but I'll tell you one thing: this Denver team total over is about to schmack because I think they cover the spread. They cover the spread. I think that correlates with the over. I mean, this total opened up at 225.5. Is that
223.5?
223.5. And it's at 231. It feels like everything is correlated for. They're basically saying with Utah having the players back in, that should create a better game environment. That's a good game environment. I think Shea telling me Shea goes back-to-back games under 30 points. Like
He's a little banged up.
I wouldn't say banged up at all. I think Shea has a really good game tonight. And then they've been kind of figuring it out in the front court as well. Shout outs to my Utah Utes. There, Ben Carlson, rookie center. He kind of had his little breakout over the weekend, kind of playing the backup center role. So even if this game goes into a blowout, I like the backup players and Carson Wallace and Isaiah Joe and stuff like that to get the job done. I think this is going to be a good game for player props, honestly. I kind of hope that Laurie, John Collins, and the boys would be out to be able to play a Kyle Filipowski prop. But with those boys being in, this could just be a Walker Kessler spot potentially. I mean, his point prop is really low, 8.5 points, -130. His rebound prop tonight is 10.5, -122. So if you're going to play it, maybe just a double-double in general at +190 is probably the better way to go here for Walker Kessler if you're going to play Walker Kessler props.
Okay, I hate this. I'm trying so hard not to bet totals. But on the first half of a back-to-back, in a game where they're supposed to blow out their opponent, in a game where there's this incredible height disparity between one and the other, but the small team's the best defending team in the NBA, the fact that the Jazz are shooting 31% from three over the last 5 games, they haven't been good from three at all. This has moved 7 points. It had moved 8. Now it's moved 7 points. I really do want the full game under here, which Brizzy can cash his team total, and I could still, I wouldn't be able to cash both. That's the problem. If Brizzy cashes his team total, I'm not going to cash both the Jazz and the under. And Rod's wacky liking the under first half here. So this is not a fun thing here to go up against the move that's this enormous, but I'm going to, and I'm trying so hard not to bet totals, but I feel like if I feel just forced to bet them, which is what I've been doing of late, my ROI is much stronger than it was last year when I was hammering them all the time. So I'm going to be on the under full game and the Jazz +16.5. Let's roll on. We have Brizzy on the Thunder team total over 123.5. Lucky Lefty, our guy Sportsman of the Year, agreeing with the Kessler double. Let's roll on. We have 2 games left here on the show, and then we are racing for $50. God, it's going to be nice to have a Wednesday full of action, man. I missed this. 10 p.m. Eastern, Golden State Warriors 21-21, 10-10 on the road at Sacramento Kings 22-20, 12-12 at home. 12-12 at home, but 6-0 at home in the Doug Christie era. We're at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. Let's get into the line history here for this spot. Start with the total. This total is at 230 and 230 flat. It opened up at 228. Got up to 228.5, 229.5. As Brizzy was saying, these totals are all climbing. This one is no different. Maybe not as extreme as the Jazz Thunder game, but still climbing. We have Sacramento as 7.5 point favorites at -105. They opened up -8, so we have a half-point move towards a very angry Golden State Warriors team. Very angry Warriors team. Let's take a look at the cash flow here. 37% of tickets, 48% cash on the Warriors. I find that appealing. 84% tickets, 87% cash on the over. Look, we all have been seeing what's been going on with the Warriors. And they had 1-2 in a row before that very disturbing 40-point loss, 125-85 at home to the Celtics on MLK Day. How do they not bounce back? Or is this a team devoid of heart? And the answer to that is no, it's not. Now they're dealing with a ton of injuries. So Podziemski, Kuminga, Green, and Anderson all out. Gary Payton, a game time decision. He's sick, listed as questionable. He only played 12 minutes against the Celtics, so he's obviously dealing with it then. Maybe he's better now. Sacramento is healthy and focused and poised and playing good basketball with Doug Christie running the show. Warriors are 2-3 over their past 5, 29th fastest pace, very slow, 95.1 possessions a game, shooting the ball poorly, 42.3 from the field, and 33.6 from three. Sacramento 4-1 over their past 5, playing at the fastest pace in the NBA. It's a long time since the fastest pace in the NBA has been just 102.8 possessions a game, 47% from the field and 37% from three. I had a colleague when I first started down in Costa Rica who blindly bet every team that lost by 30 points the following game against the spread, and the ROI was extremely good. And I don't see why I wouldn't do it here. Golden State shot 34.8 from the field and 26.4 from three. Now, this is the first of a back-to-back. It's the first of a back-to-back. They host Chicago tomorrow night. Oh, yeah, Kuminga's going to be out, for a while. So it's Draymond, Kuminga, Anderson, Podziemski all out. They were all out against the Celtics as well. Andrew G says Golden State after a historic loss worse than 40 years. Look, the Kings come in off their 9th win in 10 games, 123-100 at home over the Wizards. They haven't lost at home under Christie. This is a must bet Warriors full game. It's a must bet, and I will bet it. The Kings come off beating up on a weakling. The Warriors come off being publicly embarrassed. The only concern I would have is the fact that they're hosting Chicago tomorrow night. So, it's first half of back-to-back. I'm not going to let that concern me.
I don't give a fuck about that Chicago game. Eastern Conference team.
It's not the players, it's the coaches, because the coaches are going to ensure that they don't play their starters 35 plus a game.
Well, this is also a national TV spot. They're going to play the starters in a national TV spot and bench them against one of the worst teams in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Somebody will likely be sitting against the Bulls, but they need to bounce back here. I'm going to be on the Warriors. Brizzy, your plan of attack, Warriors, Kings, Golden One Center.
Yeah, the Warriors are coming off that embarrassing loss on national TV where they got blown out by 40 points in their first meeting this year versus the Kings. This is what made me not want to bet the Warriors. In their first week of January, they played against the Kings. It was one of Doug Christie's first games, and they blew out the fucking by 30 points. And the Kings have been kind of rolling since then. Since Christie's taken over 6 straight home games, 6-3 and 1 ATS in our last 10 games, winning 6 of their last 10 games outright. As much as I think Golden State bounces back, the numbers kind of aren't there for me. I think if the Golden State bounces back tonight, I think it's going to be via Stephen Curry here. I really like his point prop here at 25 plus points at minus 125. Curry's tied for first in the NBA for above the break three-pointers, third in NBA for above the break three-point attempts. The Kings allow the second most above the break three-point attempts and the 5th highest rate and 6th most three-pointers made and the 7th highest field goal percentage to point guard position. Curry's gone over his point prop line in 6 of his last 10 games. In their meeting a couple weeks ago, he had 26 points, going 8 for 12 from the floor, 4 for 6 from deep. If the Warriors are going to try to go out here and compete, I think Curry's going to have to give us a show in a national TV spot. And that kind of correlates with the other play, which would be Steph Curry's under assist here, minus 160. I don't see Curry passing the fucking ball, man. With Schroeder back in the lineup, he's going to play just a lot more off the ball, and they need it for their scoring. And this is a really bad matchup where the Kings allow the fewest assists to the point guard position over their last 15 games. So I got 2 same-game parlays here. These were the 2 bets that I went with. FanDuel same-game parlay boost was used for this one. Sacramento Kings, Domantas Sabonis, double-double. Steph Curry, 3 3-pointers. And his under 6.5 assists at plus 146. And then at Caesar.
Wait, slow down, my man. Sorry. So the Curry over 25.5 and minus 107 is or is not play. You're just going to go with these 2?
We're getting into it.
Okay, so that's going to be part of the second SGP.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's go back then. Okay, so I'm over here.
there's two boosts that I'm using, the FanDuel one and the Caesars one. The Caesars one has the Steph Curry 25 points prop in it. And then the FanDuel one that I just read off has the 3-pointer prop. The FanDuel one has the Domantas Sabonis double-double, Steph Curry 3-3-pointers, Curry's under 6.5 assists at plus 146.
Okay, wait a sec. And Curry under 6.5 assists. And that SGP comes out to what?
Plus 146.
Plus 146. Sabonis double-double, Steph 3 or more threes, Curry under 6.5 assists at plus 146. And the second one?
Caesar, same game parlay boost, Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings plus 510 is the parlay. Sacramento Kings money line, Stephen Curry 25 plus points, under 6.5 assists. Golden State Warriors, Sacramento Kings over 230.5. Well, I think Golden State competes in this game. I think they can just go over their team total of 110 points. And the game goes over. I just don't see how they. I think they could compete. Could this game be real close in the end? Could Curry give us a show? Yeah, but I think Sacramento pulls out the W in the end. That was the first. When I looked at this card, the first thing I saw was the Golden State Warriors at plus 8.5, and I thought I gotta bet that. And then after I researched the game, I was like, if they're gonna have any shot at winning this game, you just gotta bet the Curry props, in my opinion.
It's valid. I'm not going to double down here on it. Maybe I should. Fuck.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, Curry coming off a 40-point loss on a national TV game. Now he's coming back on another national TV game against the Sacramento Kings, a team that he already doesn't like. He just played them in the first week of January in the new year. He had 26 points, had 8 for 12 from the floor, 4 for 6 from deep. I think they're going to compete here in this game. I think this game goes over. That's the reason why this game went from 228 to 230, 1.5. I'm seeing at Caesars right now. And then if they're going to compete, I think Golden State has to go over their team total over. And I think Sacramento probably pulls out the W by like 3 or 4 points, which gives you the Golden State cover and Sacramento wins.
Yeah, he did not look good last out. 6 of 16 from the field, 4 of 12 from 3. I mean, he's not shot well from 3 in 2 games in a row, both at home. But if you take him back to the road, I mean, he had that horrible game against Cade, came back, and looked good, and then had stepped up against Minnesota. Stepped up, like you said, against teams he hates.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Christmas Day spot where Curry, I only remember this because my brother was in town. He shot, it was like 0 for like 8 from the 3-point line on the Monday before Christmas. And then on the Christmas Day game, we got his player prop at 23.5, and he absolutely smashed it against LeBron. It's like the same psychology of like, there's only so much that Steph can take of embarrassment until he's like, fuck this, I'm about to just put the team on my back and have a vintage performance. And I mean, I even like that they're playing Chicago in the second half of a back-to-back, because they probably don't give a fuck about that game. It's the Eastern Conference team that has nothing to do for NBA ratings and players and betting. We care, but for the actual standings for the end of the season, when an Eastern Conference team plays a Western Conference team, that has nothing to do with the standings at the end of the year. This is a huge game for them. This is a TNT game. I think this game goes over.
And Kripke says this could be a Kings beatdown. Look, if we were coming off the Warriors beating the Celtics in overtime or beating the Celtics in a close game, I'd be all over the Kings. I'd be saying this could be a Kings beatdown. The Warriors were just completely embarrassed. If you believe this team is devoid of any heart and any character, then yes, bet the Kings. If you think that this team, like I said, look, I had a guy tracking it, the teams that lost by 30-plus points, blindly betting them the next day. It was hugely successful. I'm going to be on the Warriors, and I think that the Curry prop makes sense. Your first SGP was plus 146. The next one was at Kings, Curry over 25.5, under 6.5 assists, under 233.5 or 232.5?
Over.
Over 233.5. And what was that one? What did that come out at?
It wasn't 233. It was Sacramento Kings money line.
Yeah.
Steph Curry 25 plus points.
Oh, 25 plus. Okay.
Curry under 6.5 assists, and the over 230.5. I really need that under 6.5 assists. I mean, like,
yeah,
you bet it straight at minus 160, but that's kind of like the pillar post to both of these same game parlays. And my theory here in this one is Curry's going to play off ball. They're going to set a bunch of fucking screens for him, And I don't think he's passing, man. I mean, who is he passing it to?
What was the juice on the second SGP?
Plus 510 at Caesar Sportsbook for the 4-leg same game parlay. And then the 3-leg player prop parlay was plus 146 at FanDuel Sportsbook.
Beautiful. And all those books are on that top link here that Jose put up. Let's talk about our last game of the program here before we race for $50 and then get the rest of the action in. I'm excited about tonight, man. I've been missing the Wednesday action. 10:30 p.m. Eastern with the Boston Celtics 30-13, 15-5 on the road. The LA Clippers 24-18, 15-7 at home. We're at the Intuit Dome. Take a look at the line history here as well as the injury situation. Kawhi out. Zubac out. Norman Powell questionable due to back soreness. He's been playing in all these games. He hasn't played since December 4th. James Harden questionable with the groin injury. Chris Dunn questionable with the knee injury. So, I mean, it's the Terrence Mann, Kevin Porter, Bones Highland show. At this point, it's hard to think that Storm and Norman would sit out with all of these players out. Batum also questionable with a finger injury. He hasn't missed a game all year. I mean, are these guys just not going to try today?
Nicholas Batum in any of these games, for real.
Yeah, that's true. KP, Kristaps Porzingis is sick. He is questionable here.
That shoot-around, well, he was present at shoot-around. That just came out 10 minutes ago.
Was Horford there too? Because I don't have that information here.
Nah, it just has. So about an hour and a half ago, it said Kristaps Porzingis illness questionable for today. And then I would imagine they just had a shoot-around, and he was present at the shoot-around. So I don't present. That doesn't mean he was taking shot attempts. That just means in the building.
It's very important when someone's sick, so that's a good sign. We have Horford and Drew both game time decisions as well. So it's just a mess of a basketball game, which you'll have to keep an eye on. Now it's the late one, so we can have time to put it all together. But the line history is telling. This opened up at 5.5 in the afternoon. When this very sharp offshore opened it up at 10:48 p.m., it was 8.5. We're now at 11.5. So, or 11, excuse me. I do see some 11.5, but this is straight 11, but it's juiced towards the Celtics. Let's get to the total here for this one. On the total, we have a 219. It's juiced to the over. This opened up at 217, so we've climbed up 2 points. When we get to the cash flow here, we have 54% of the tickets, 65% of the cash on the Celtics, 94% of tickets, 95% cash on the over. These are the kind of games that are hurting the sport. You know, when you have all of these guys out of the lineup or possibly out of the lineup, and we all have to refresh bullshit sites over and over again to find out whether these assholes are going to bother playing or not. Boston 3-2 over their past 5, 25th fastest pace, 96.1 possessions a game, 45.1 from the field and 35.7 from three. The Clippers 4-1 over their past 5, 97.4 possessions a game. That's 20th fastest in the league, 49.9 from the field and 33.7 from three. Both teams shooting poorly from three. Both teams dealing with a ton of injuries. Both teams playing at a slow pace, and it's climbed up to 219. It's confusing. Celtics coming off their second win in 3 games, 125-85 at Golden State on Monday. Celtics shot 53.3 from the floor. They completely stomped on the Warriors. KP Big Dick Zingis has missed 24 games, but he is averaging 20.6 and 8.6 over his past 7. This is their 4th game in 6 nights. It's the first of a back-to-back. They face the Lakers tomorrow night at Crypto. So that'll be their 5th and 7. I mean, that's why these players are sitting. Well, why is this total up to 219? It doesn't make sense to me. Clippers had their 4-game winning streak snapped a 112-99 loss at home to the Bulls on Monday night. This is the first of a back-to-back. They host the Wizards tomorrow night. Kawhi was out on the second half of a back-to-back, and he's already being listed as out. Zubac poked in the eye. He's been out. Mo Bamba got his first start of the season in place of Zubac. Went 10-7, but the Clippers were out rebounded 54-40. So Leonard Zubac ruled out. Norman Powell back. Harden groin. For the Celtics, Drew and Al Horford. This is part of a 6-game run in 10 days. This started on Sunday for the Clippers because of the fires and the missing those games. So, fucking mess. I do want to bet the under, though. I mean, I don't see why their 3-point shooting would change all of a sudden. They're both playing at slow paces. I'm trying so hard not to bet unders, but and do I want to get into this? I mean, look, I'm going up in the way of one move that's gone 7 points towards the over. This has gone 2. Doesn't make sense to me. Brizzy, do you make any sense of Celtics Clippers?
Yeah, I had a little bit of a frustrating Monday on Martin Luther King Day. National championship game didn't really go my way, but the basketball spots that I was on were the Celtics and Colgate, and it felt those are the worst gambling days where you hit on like the basketball markets, but then you lose money on like some random bullshit. Lost some money on that national championship game, but the Celtics got right in that national TV game on MLK Day. But to be honest with you, I still have questions with how they've really been playing, though. They split their last 8 games straight up. Outside of beating some injury decrepit teams along their pathway, they haven't really played that well at all in the new year. The Clippers were rolling with 5 straight games, and then typical Clipper shit. They rested Kawhi, Zubac, and this team is not deep enough to have those players missing in their rotation, and they paid the result, losing to the Bulls in their last game by double digits at home. Well, I don't think that they can win this game outright. I definitely think they could stick around and hang in there in the end. The under is 7-3 in the Celtics' last 9 games, 5 straight unders on the road for the Celtics, and the under is 4-1 in the Clippers' last 5. I like the under 218.5. I didn't move on it just because the it's timing of the day. Like I'm not in a rush to bet a game at 10 o'clock that the market is moving towards the over. So I'm not really like rushing to the window to bet this one. One player prop I would circle for tomorrow because I think he misses tonight's game, even though he was present at shoot around. Kristaps Porzingis over 1.5 3-pointers was minus 155, but I don't think he's going to play tonight. But I will run that prop tomorrow, though. This prop has really gone under the radar to the sports book. This line should be 2.5 at even odds, but he's gone over 1.5 3-pointers in 6 out of his last 8 games, including 5 straight games, averaging 3.5 made 3-pointers per game. He's been attempting 3-pointers at a very high rate, nearly 7 attempts per game. Some notable bigs versus the Clippers. So either him or Horford's 3-point prop, because if he's out and Horford's in, I would play Horford's 3-point prop. LeBron had 2, Patrick Williams had 2, Kevin Love 3, Kellen Ware 3. But that would be all I have for this one. I only got 1 college basketball prop, though, that I would like to go to as well.
I'm trying so hard not to bet totals.
I mean,
so hard.
It's actually funny that you said you're trying to not so hard to bet totals. I've really been finding the edge in totals in basketball of like it's more team totals than full game totals, but either under or overs on the team totals have really. I mean, remember we were talking about that during the WNBA season, and a lot of more of my action for the WNBA and the Olympics was a lot more team totals, and I started cashing at a higher rate. I mean, I've brought that over to the NBA season.
I have bet five team totals this year. 5. Sorry, 5 totals. 1 was a team total forward. So I'm 3-2 in them. I'm trying so hard not to bet them. I don't see how you don't bet the under in this one, and I'm going to. And then the under in that Jazz Thunder game. I just look. I don't see how. And I'm going to do it. The same thing. It was funny with Troy's first answer when I said I was 12.25% ROI. How many games have you bet? It's a very fair answer. It's when you're at 67 games, you have a higher opportunity to have a 12.25% ROI. If you're at 300 games and you have a 5% ROI, you're one of the best cappers in the industry. So, my sample size is very small at this point, and it will only grow now that I'm adding Wednesday and Tuesday. Same with the player props. I've been trying so hard not to bet player props, and then I bet 4 on Friday. The Julius Randle overs, which both lost, and then the D'Angelo Russell overs that both cashed. And then the only other ones I've had.
The fuck you betting a Julius Randle over for?
It was stupid, but I got it all back with D'Angelo Russell. I don't trust either of them. You trust either of those two guys?
I mean, I'm betting Nas Reed every day. Nas Reed is circle that name, man. 6th man of the year last year. What more does he have to do? He's damn near averaging 20 points per game. We're talking about Rudy Gobert. Fuck Rudy Gobert. It's Naz Reid, man. Naz Reid is the only person that they can put on the floor with Anthony Edwards that can stretch out the floor with them. So, I mean, he's going to have to play. He's going to have to close games. I mean, remember during the playoffs last year, they were benching Karl-Anthony Towns for Naz Reid.
Oh, man, it's going to be a really fun night, dude. I'm going to have a ton of action here. Let's review all action. Oh, what do you say? Yeah,
I do have one college player prop tonight in Georgia-Arkansas game here that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, let me just review NBA, and then we'll go back over to NCAA. And also, Jose can put up the Georgia-Arkansas graphic. Okay, so in NBA, Sweaty Butcher, Surf and Turf, Hawks money line, Timberwolves money line plus 182. Ron Crawford, NBA play of the day is the Detroit Pistons. Daby Cab and Edwards over 3.5 threes at minus 105. Wine Times on the Pistons money line plus 134. We stayed off Suns Nets. Brizzy has Irving 3 or more threes. Edwards 3 or more threes. That's a profit boost, giving him plus 250. Wine Times on the Rockets plus 120. I'll be on the Rockets as well. I'm going to stay off the Hornets. I was concerned maybe I wouldn't have enough action, but I do. Memphis team total over 125.5 for Brizzy. Bucks, Pelicans canceled, postponed. Brizzy on the Thunder team total over 123.5. I'm going to be on the Jazz and the under. I'm going to be on Warriors and Curry uncomfortably. Brizzy on Sabonis double-double. Steph 3+3. Oh, these are all going to be full units too. I'll tell you, it usually takes me to need to have 3 bets to drop it $50 each to go down to 200 a pop. 250 is my unit size in NBA, and I don't think I move it up to 300, even though it's been a good year so far. We'll see how that bangs out in a bit. Sabonis double-double, Steph 3 or more threes, Curry under 6.5 assists. That first SGP for Brizzy's plus 146. Second one, Kings money line, Curry 25 or more points, under 6.5 assists, over 230.5. That's at plus 510. Big score for Brizzy. And then I'll be on the under in the Celtics-Clippers game with enormous discomfort. There we go in. Rods Wax says bet against Boston after allowing 100 points or less. 0-10 against spread this year. Coin leaning towards Dallas. I completely get that. Great stuff from the chat throughout here. Let's go back to that spot that Brizzy wants to add action on, that being the Georgia Bulldogs. Here, let me get to my action here. The Georgia Bulldogs and the Georgia Bulldogs are at Arkansas Razorbacks. Where the hell is it? What the hell's wrong with it?
Fayetteville, Arkansas, boy. Get on ready. Coach Cal and them boys got to get on the W here.
This is an interesting spot. We have Arkansas money line as a best bet from our guy BJ. C-Mac on the under 140.5. How are you making money here?
Yeah, the grass isn't greener on the other side is what Coach Cal is finding out here in a tough SEC. The Razorbacks have fallen to 0-5 to start off SEC play. To make matters worse, their top 5 freshman recruit from New York City, Boogie Flynn, probably one of their highest recruits ever out of New York City. Boogie Flynn is out for the rest of the season with a hand injury. I think this is going to open up pathways for my South Jersey boy straight from Camden here. He stayed. He was one of the guys that went with Coach Cal from Kentucky over to Arkansas. Coach Cal, I don't know how. Coach Cal convinced DJ Wagner to stay another year in college and go with him over to Fayetteville, Arkansas, where they've looked absolutely trash this year. But DJ Wagner has to step up tonight. He's going to have to have a good game for them to break this losing streak, him and Thiero. They haven't won a game since December 30th. A lot of the talent for the Bulldogs are on the wing, but they're acceptable to the point guard position. I like DJ Wagner over 9.5 points tonight, minus 140 at Bet365.
You are in business, Brizzy. Excellent work today, my friend. Looking forward to these Wednesdays where we cap the NBA card together. Go get that cash. Got nice little plus line glory, that 1 plus 510. Very appealing
spot, because I would challenge cappers that live in legal betting states in the States. When you open up your sports book and you have those profit boosts, you see how I set it up for the FanDuel same game parlay one side, Caesars on the other side. I could, if I was at the casino or something like that, I could even bet the Warriors money line and have 3+ money spots. And if the Warriors win, then boom, I cashed that ticket and hopefully the player prop ticket. And then if I wanted to keep that off, I think Sacramento wins the game. If I wanted to keep that off, it's like you got to be able to work your spots, find your spots on the card, and use your I would say the availability of these sports books and these profit boosts and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a big same game parlay person, but I mean, if I fuck with Sacramento, I have a lot better chance of rolling with the plus 500 than, parlaying it at minus 295 with the Phoenix Suns and get even odds.
No, I feel you. It's important angles to talk about. Brizzy, my man, great work. Locker Room Talk podcast taking a break this week, but back in business next week for a huge UFC card. Please support our guys. I'm going to pop Brizzy's X handle here in the chat. Please support our guy, Brizzy. Brizzy, any last words for Capper Sport in the show?
Yeah, man. It's the best time of year. You got to get that money right and get that bankroll up because Papa-Palooza is right around the corner. Book those tickets. March Madness is right around the corner, so make sure you circle those spots because when we're all down here in San Antonio, you might be too lit to make that pick.
There he is, Billy Brisbane in the house. Great job. God, I cannot wait. Tons of action today. Let's get the fucking money, man. Let's bring on my co-host here on Pub Sports Radio, the producer of Betting with the Bag, our friend Snips Bouquet. Let's bring him on the program. Snips, how are you?
Good. Swept the board yesterday. I guess the Jets hired a good coach. We have an exciting race today.
Yes. Is there any best bet you want to hand out before we race?
I just tailed some spots. I have, I guess, 3 bets that I made today that I'll shout out real quick. I'm on Houston first half with you guys, minus 12. Shout out to them. I'm on the Boise State, Colorado State over there, minus 140 over, minus 140, whatever, minus 110. Jesus, over 40. And then the last one was Fordham plus 9.5, and then I parlayed those up with the New Jersey Devils. That I'm not proud of the parlay, but I did add the Devils in there and solidarity there. But yeah, it was a good day yesterday. So trying to keep the pressure going.
Absolutely. Keep getting that cash. What are we racing today?
I mean, Jimmy, it's the people have been clamoring for it in the streets. They've been clamoring for it. And we're racing clams, food, turkeys, whatever we got in here.
This is a serious thing here. You're taking some of the serious. Now, well, first off, how many gold members do we have?
We have 80 gold members, 80 pieces of food out there racing for glory.
Not a big fan of this food situation here. It seems to be making light of a very serious event that we close the show. But let's roll here. Food racing. Let's get back to. Give me camels tomorrow. Can you give me camels tomorrow?
Sure.
Give me camels tomorrow. Let's go to work, Jose. Get us started. And good luck to everybody. But first off, thank you to all our gold members. It means the world to us. Truly keeps us going. So thank you for being gold member. We are trying to hit 100. We thank the 80 of you that are gold members. It means the world. Now let's see which gold member gets paid in full, Jose.
Let us find out what item of food is faster than the rest. Look at him go, Jimmy. Old D, Paul Taylor, the sailor. Chill Will is a baked potato. All in the mix. Paul Taylor, the donut, in the lead right now. And there's some chicken wings up there, top set. Oh, my God. Look at these majestic beasts just teeter-tottering their way across the kitchen here. Sharon Polian from the back, some wine and cheeses, Jimmy.
It is very exciting. I wouldn't call those wings. Looks like a bucket of chicken to me. We got a cupcake moving forward, and Helga making move with looks like a sausage of some kind. We have some sort of Chinese food. It looks like a noodle type dish with financially free and focused up front. This is the last time we're ever racing food, by the way. Let me add that. Tron, Big T, and here comes Nasty Nate. Nasty Nate making a huge move with a bucket of popcorn, but it's not going to be enough. Maddie Ice, the cake. This is
lovely piece of cherry pie right there.
This was as underwhelming as I could possibly imagine. Let's never race food again. But congratulations to Matty Ice. Stacking Cream in second. Nate Dogg in third. Nasty Nate in 12th. Moving in the right direction.
Climbing. Shout out to you, Matty Ice, and your piece of pie looks great.
$50 richer, our friend Matty Ice. Let's do a review of all action, Jose, and then I've got to start betting. The only bet I have in is the Devils, which is a smash and grab in my estimation. Stacks play today. Cal +1.5, Nevada +6.5. Kongs Clips Houston first half -11.5. Surf and Turf Hawks money line. Timberwolves money line. Gogster on the Devils in regulation. I am on the Devils -1. See what it is right now, because I did put it in at 365. Now it's -220, so it's moved 20 cents. My favor. I'm pleased with it. I really, really, really like this spot. I like it so much that I'm not betting any other hockey. I really, really like it. Gogster, first period, both teams scoring Columbus, Toronto, and the over 6. Gogster on the Jets, first period, +110, and the Avs team total under 2.5, +125, and no goal in the first 9.5 minutes of Florida, Los Angeles. Morgan Spooner, I can't wait to go through all these games too. Fordham +9.5, Temple +9.5, Loyola, Maryland, money line, Milwaukee +1.5, Temple, money line, Fordham, money line. Respect play today, also Houston -12, first half. Jermaine, North Philly special, LaSalle, Temple. Razor Sharp Picks gave us his entire Gulfstream Park card. Thank you, Razor. Very cool. I'm going to pop this here in the chat. The Razor Sharp Picks card. Then DC Capper on Syracuse first half. I'm very interested in the Gamecocks. I'm going to study it a little more. It was a lean for CMAC. Then Xavier +7.5 in the under 148.5 for CMAC. I want Xavier and I want to bet as soon as possible here. I'm not moving. I'm just going to sit here and make the bets in basketball that I need. I'm very interested in Boise State double up Baylor first half, but Millsy, maybe you'll get me off. I'm going to study it a little more. I have some interest in Cal. Do I want to go up against Stacks play day number 2 with Nevada? No. So I'm going to see if I have the conviction, because I wanted Utah State double up before it occurred to me that I was going up against Stacks. Brizzy on DJ Wagner over 9.5 points. CMAC on the under 140.5 in Arkansas, Georgia. And BJ's best bet is Arkansas. He's also on the Suns -10 for 5 units. He crushed that line move. Miami Hurricanes first half, very appealing to me. CMAC also on Fordham +9.5. I'll study that a little more. Trey Woodall's first shot as coach. Pig Milk play today. American UIC and Stanford all on the money line +135. Clark Edge play today. Youngstown State -2.5. Daby Cab on Kansas first half -3. Texas A&M first half +2. Phelps over 1.5 threes. And USC +6.5. Now CMAC and Wine Time on Nebraska going up against our guy Daby Cabin. I plan to do that as well. Other plays of the day from Ron Crawford: Kings in NHL and Pistons in Detroit. We just went over all of our NBA. We don't need to do that one more time. It's time for us to get our action in. Great to be back with you guys on Wednesdays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'll also be back on Tuesday starting next week with Pistol Pete Loshak. Been a long time since I have capped with him or even spoken to him. Oh, you're muted, my man.
God fucking damn it. I brought it up to Pete that you guys were going up. And he was like, yeah, I can't wait. And he seemed nonplussed, obviously, like not too excited, because I told him that it was an hour and a half-ish, hour 40 minutes last time. I was like, Pete, get ready for these shows to double in length, Pete. Prepare for 3 hours, Pete.
Yeah.
So I hope he's ready for that. It should be fun to see our guy, Peter Loshak, worn out again.
Yeah, it's an open door policy if he wants to bounce on that too. There you go. That is our show for today. Thank you all in the chat. Lex Steele, Wine Time Sports, Zoe Faye, Nasty Nate, Rick J, Justin McKelvey, Crip Key. What a great group we roll with. Big Show Picks. Thank you guys. Morgan Spooner, Coin, Andrew G. Thank you guys. Nasty Nate in the house. Lucky Lefty, AK Sportsman of the Year. Big Scott. Rod Zawacki. Jerry Stacks. Robert Franklin. Thank you guys. Markel. 2-3 The Juice. Thank you guys so much. Action Jackson. Thank you guys so much for your support. Rez Mob's first half bet was -11. Okay, shit. Sorry, Rez. I just copied and pasted off the thing, but let's change that here. I didn't write it out. Like I just copied and pasted it, but I will change that here for the respect play of the day. The first half, Houston minus 11.
Yep, I'm on it with you, Rez.
And loaded. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Jose, thank you, my friend. Let's get that cash. Can you please bless our action and lead us into the future?
Yep, loaded week here at Pub Sports Radio. So tune in tomorrow. We'll be back at it again. Should be a lot of fun. A classic Bobano Thursday here, and Friday should be especially interesting as well here. So shout out to you guys, Zoe, Spoons, Rez, Nasty Nate, Wine Time. Appreciate all you guys. Reminders here real quick. First off, obviously, Pubapalooza. Come and join us March 20th to the 23rd there. It's going to be a lot of fun. Come early. Even old Peter Loshak said he was going to be there early. Jimmy said he's going to get there on like a Wednesday.
Got to be in there on a Wednesday. You got to wake up in San Antonio Thursday morning because it's the start of the tourney.
Exactly. So I agree with that. Peter will be there early, so you should be too. And don't forget, the time is ticking away. San Antonio, or I should say Alamo Card Show, coming up here in a few short days, February 1st and 2nd. I will be there again. Me and my good, close personal friend Vince Young. I'm going to talk to Vince Young about how he apparently would, instead of renting out a private plane or a charter or something like that, he would just fly commercial and then buy up all of the seats so he could have everything to himself. Maybe I'll ask Vince Young about that, or maybe I'll ask him about the Cheesecake Factory and his obsession with it and all that good stuff. So a lot of good stuff coming. If you want to be a vendor, email us. I think it's alamocardshow@gmail.com. So you can go get your table, few left, but shout out to the card show there. And yes, Jimmy, I can't wait to talk to my friend Vince Young, obviously.
That's so cool. Vince will be there. There's still a few tables left. I believe 95% of the tables are sold. If you're looking for a table for the Big Alamo Card Show, just email us at pubsportsradio@gmail.com and we'll take care of it. Jose, my man, bless our action. Let's get betting.
Let's get betting. Leche. Hey, los bookmakers. Let's go.
Boy, wine time.